I'd like to call the meeting to order. Please rise if you're able and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Welcome, everyone. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Supervisor Moore.
Present.
Councilwoman McNamara.
Present.
Councilman Isili.
Present.
Councilman Pell. Present. Councilman Martell.
Present.
Thank you. I move to accept and approve the minutes from the regular town board meeting of November 25th, 2025.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Madam Clerk, would you please read the communications?
We have received the following communications in the office of the town clerk. We have received public notices from the Suffolk County Department of Economic Development and Planning, notification of property certified by New York State Department of Ag and Markets, Town of Southold, public hearing notice, Town Fire District's notice of annual elections on December 9th for Bridgehampton, East Quogue, Eastport, Flanders, Hampton Bays, North Sea, Riverhead, Southampton, and West Hampton Beach. Emails, letters, and land use applications have been received regarding the following: denouncing the use of the doctrine of discovery against the Shinnecock Nation, proposed CHF acquisition of disability housing deed restriction at 49 St. Andrews Road, traffic in Southampton Town. Planning Board application for December 11th for 106 and 114 Jewel Pond Drive in Watermill. The following bid and request for proposals were received on November 26th for new or used 2025 Ford Escape AWD vehicles, and December 3rd, a bid for plumbing supplies. The following report was received from the Town Comptroller for the November 2025 monthly financial reports, and that concludes the communications for this meeting's agenda.
Thank you. All right, I have 4 walk-ons. Resolutions. The first is Town Board Resolution ID number 51744 to recall and amend Town Board Resolution 2025-1387 for emergency school meal assistance. Town Board Resolution ID number 51745 to authorize the use of community housing funds for the acquisition of disability housing deed restriction. The third is Town Board Resolution ID number 51746 to appoint Scott Horowitz to the Suffolk County Working Waterfront Advisory Committee. And the fourth is Town Board Resolution 51758, which is the warrant number 23. I move to add those 4 resolutions to the agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Sunday, could you get into number 3 as a co-sponsor with Scott?
Same here.
Same.
Same.
Thank you.
All right, so let's move on with the public hearings. Madam Clerk, would you please read the notice for the first public hearing?
Public hearing number 1, to consider the use of community housing funds for the acquisition of a disability housing deed restriction.
Good afternoon, Madam Supervisor and the Town Board. I am Kara Back, the Director of Housing for the Town of Southampton. I am pleased to present this affordable housing opportunity to the Town Board. This public hearing is to consider the acquisition of an affordable disability housing deed restriction under the Town of Southampton's Community Housing Fund. Under Southampton Town Code Section 140-42F, proceeds of the Community Housing Fund are permitted to be used to acquire interest in existing housing units for rent to eligible individuals. One of the programs established by the Community Housing Fund Project Plan provides CHF funding to properties that restrict the tenancy to income-eligible disabled persons. Recipients of the CHF funding under this housing program are required to execute a covenant that restricts tenancy to persons that have a physical or developmental impairment defined under the American with Disabilities Act. In addition, the covenant limits the rent to low to moderate income rent that is established by the town each year. The Community Housing Fund Advisory Board received an application from Love Michael Homes, Inc. which is a not-for-profit organization dedicated to providing affordable housing for adults living on the autism spectrum. Love Michael is requesting up to $630,000 to enable it to pay off an existing mortgage on the property located at 49 St. Andrews Road in Shinnecock Hills. Paying off the mortgage will allow Love Michael to keep the rent affordable. The property is a 5-bedroom, 4.5 bath home that is used to provide independent, affordable living opportunities to 4 autistic adults and a live-in caregiver. In reviewing the application, the role of the Community Housing Fund Advisory Board is to assess potential projects, analyze programs and properties, and make recommendations to the town board based upon the goals set forth in the town's housing plan. The town's housing plan focuses on 5 goals that will make housing more affordable, accessible, and equitable. Providing more affordable housing for the disabled population, including a range of housing options, is listed as the second goal in the town's housing plan. The CHF Advisory Board considered the application of Love Michael and found that it met the criteria set forth in the town's housing plan. And now Joyce Yancey, the chairperson of the CHF Advisory Board, is here to discuss with you the Advisory Board's recommendation of this project. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kara.
Okay, good afternoon. I'm Joyce Yancey, and I'm here today on behalf of the Community Housing Fund Advisory Board. The Advisory Board, along with Kara, worked with the Board of Love Michael Homes nonprofit organization applicant to consider its intentions within the guidelines of the Community Housing Fund project plan. The Advisory Board has now voted to unanimously recommend Love Michael's application to the town board today. As you're aware, among other things, the housing plan guides us to provide financial assistance to alleviate the housing cost burden and to provide housing options for seniors, the disabled, and employees. So with respect to this application, the Advisory Board was especially motivated by the fact that the applicant's request would help maintain affordable housing for individuals with special needs, in this case, individuals on the autism spectrum. To date, this is the first application we've received seeking CHF support related to affordable housing for disabled, and we anticipate we may not likely see a lot of such applications given the high cost of housing opportunities in our community. As we've previously discussed with the town board, the Advisory Board seeks opportunities to maintain affordable housing in perpetuity. And the Love Michael application presented us with a challenge to the concept of in perpetuity. After a lot of consideration and discussion, we designed a recommendation that we consider unique for nonprofit applicants and for this applicant specifically. Love Michael operates 3 homes for individuals on the autism spectrum, and the property upon which the deed restriction would be placed is valued at over $2 million. The amount requested, as Kara mentioned, to pay off the mortgage to help the nonprofit organization maintain this housing as affordable is only $630,000, less than a third of the property's value. Love Michael Homes requested the ability to lift the deed restriction under a narrow set of circumstances that may someday require it to sell the underlying property. After careful consideration, the Advisory Board is recommending a defined set of extraordinary circumstances which we believe would be remote to occur, under which we would recommend the town agrees. Those extraordinary circumstances would apply solely if Love Michael Homes needs to sell the property to avoid a potential pending bankruptcy or to avoid a failure to remain an ongoing concern under the guidelines for nonprofit entities as established by the IRS that an audit firm third party would confirm, or if they ever failed to find qualified individuals on the autism spectrum to live in the home if an occupancy occurs. So in the event Love Michael someday could ever think that an extraordinary circumstance may occur, we further recommend the town require Love Michael Homes to give the town appropriate advance notice and that it construct a set of guidelines that would have to be followed before the town would agree to lift the deed restriction, as follows. So we would recommend that the town secure 2 appraisals at Love Michael's expense to reflect value without the restriction if it were to be lifted, and that the property would then be listed for sale at the higher of the 2 appraised values. They would have to agree that the sale of the property must be in arm's length to an uninterested third party, and upon any such sale, that the repayment of the $630,000 CHF grant would come back plus a 15% of the equity achieved from the date of the disability covenant to the arm's length third-party purchaser. So trying to establish a form of a penalty of sorts. The advisory board expects the likelihood of the extraordinary circumstances to be remote, and we believe the deed restriction therefore would remain likely in perpetuity, which is consistent with the spirit of our interpretation of the CHF guidelines. But we also are creating this to respect the unique circumstances we believe nonprofit organizations who rely on fundraising in difficult times face as a viable challenge. So accordingly, and subject to the recommended conditions I just described, I'm pleased to present the advisory board's unanimous recommendation to the town board in support of this application. I appreciate the opportunity to present our recommendation. Thank you. I know that's a lot to cover, so I have a copy for you for the record.
I'm trying to find that resolution.
Okay, with that, I'd like to welcome Lisa Liberatore from Love Michael Homes, who can
Yes.
answer any questions you may have as the applicant.
Right, come on up, Lisa.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you to the CHF Advisory Committee and the town trustees for inviting us here today. I want to start with a quote by Mother Teresa, because she's one of my greatest heroes, and said, "The greatest poverty is not lack of money or food, but the feeling of being forgotten, uncared for, and unloved." We are here today to speak about a community that refuses to let our sons and daughters feel forgotten, a community that has braced them with love, dignity, and purpose. My name is Dr. Lisa Liberatore. Together with my husband, Dr. Casares, we founded Love Michael and Love Michael Homes. These are 2 sister 501c3s inspired by our journey, raising our son Michael, who's here today, with his friends, support staff, teachers, clergy, members of our community. Michael is 28 years old and on the autism spectrum. When he was 17, we worried deeply about whether he would have a life of meaning. That led us in 2015 to create Love Michael, originally focused on creating meaningful work through handmaking and selling granola. As we grew, we realized we had a much harder question to answer. How can we ensure that our children live lives of dignity and purpose beyond our parents' lifetime? As we grew, we realized, that required awareness, advocacy, and education. Today, more than 60,000 teenagers from over 60 countries have completed Love Michael's advocacy program. That means we've educated over 1 million people about autism, the 90% unemployment rate for autistic adults, and profound isolation many face. We also knew we needed an innovative residential model, one that offered individualized lifelong support and genuine community. So in 2019, we founded what is Love Michael Homes, partnering interdenominationally with a faith-based community we had known and loved for over 25 years. The Dormition of the Virgin Mary Cathedral was a natural place to begin. Our clergy and church family have been part of Michael's life since he was baptized. We had no roadmap, but East End Disability Services encouraged us, and together with dedicated parents and staff, we built something new. Our first residents, Jenna, Elias, Christian, and Michael, formed the foundation. Word spread, more families arrived, offering countless hours of talent, support, and love. As author Harry Saros says, we became family. Together, we have 3 homes now with 8, soon-to-be 10 residents, 3 live-in caregivers, and more than 15 trained support professionals we offer full-time support and benefits to through East End Disabilities Employment. Our residents are active throughout the community, volunteering, forming friendships, partnerships, and wellness-centered programs. Love Michael proudly supports community-wide events like Surface Healing, Love is in the Air, which brings people of all abilities together. This past September, Assemblyman Angelo Santa Barbara, who's chair of the State Assembly Committee for People with Disability, visited us here in Southampton with his son Michael. He joined us in the conference and also in Surface Healing, and with this he gained a deeper understanding of the challenges parents are facing. He later invited us to Albany and even submitted a bill supporting our alternative model. We are deeply honored to be at this stage of the CHF application process. Southampton's Community House Grant is groundbreaking, and I really appreciate the work that we did together over this year, because this is so innovative, this model, this grant. But it's offering real hope for families seeking affordable, lifelong housing for individuals with disability. To the Town Board, the CHF Advisory Board, the Suffolk County Executive, who I know lended his support, and all of our friends and supporters, thank you for your belief in this mission and for walking with us on this journey. This moment means the world to families of special needs children, and we're happy to answer any questions now and to support you to get this across the finish line. Thank you.
Thank you.
You can
Yes,
want to
and
actually hand that
Thank you for
in.
all you do. Did you want to hand that in to the clerk? Sure.
Thank you for doing that.
Yeah, is Mayor Manger here? Oh. Is Mayor Manger here? Oh, here he is. I'd like to take him out of order. Making an entrance.
Madam Supervisor, and thank you for calling on me. And we have quite a few in the overflow room, so
Oh, really?
I'm glad
Okay.
that you were able to accommodate all of us today. I first wanted to read a letter from the county executive, if I may. Dear Town of Southampton Board of Trustees, I think you got that wrong, but anyway. I would like to offer my support to Love Michael's Homes application to the Community Housing Fund to help advance affordable community-based housing for individuals with disabilities. Across our region, we are witnessing a growing socioeconomic crisis impacting individuals on the autism spectrum as they age out of school-based services. Thousands of young adults are left without viable residential options. While aging parents struggle with the increasing demands of long-term care, the availability of certified group homes continues to fall far short of the need. Love Michael and Love Michael Homes, both 501c3 organizations founded by parents confronting this crisis firsthand, have spent the past decade pioneering innovative solutions. Their work has created meaningful employment opportunities and more recently supported independent housing models that promote dignity, safety, and long-term stability. For the past 5 years, Love Michael's Homes has been a vital contributor to the Suffolk community, providing high-quality programs and services for hundreds of autistic adults and individuals with special needs. Their presence enriches our region, hosting inclusive community dances, supporting surfers' healing events, and convening an annual national conference to share best practices and expand knowledge. I have personally witnessed the residents participating joyfully and confidently in community life at the Dominion of the Virgin Mary Cathedral's Greek Festival, as well as at numerous local events throughout the year. They experience authentic inclusion every day, whether shopping locally, rowing in Sag Harbor, attending art shows, exercising at community gyms, or enjoying our local restaurants. Love Michael and Love Michael Homes are part of our Suffolk County community. Their model is one that communities across New York State and the nation should look to replicate. Thank you for your consideration and prompt attention to this important grant request. So I just wanted to add that on behalf of the Village of Southampton, we are also very supportive of the Love Michael charity and the work that they do, because they are one of the only charities in this area that offers this type of a home and again, inclusive environment for people suffering with autism or needs or special needs. And again, they're located just outside the village, but we do consider the Greek church and everything they do, and I have experienced some of the people that live there at the Greek church. You know, Father Alex lives in the village, so I'm very close with Father Alex, and just wanted to add my, again, support for this initiative for Love Michael and the home. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor. And Father Constantine, would you like to say a few words? Yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity. Hi, everybody. So it was a weird twist of fate that when I was in my 20s, I worked in a group home as a direct support staff person for a couple of years before I went to seminary. And when I finished that work, I thought, oh, well, that'll be a nice thing for me to remember that I did a long time ago. I had no idea that that was preparing me for the partnership that our church would develop with Love Michael today. But I do want to say a couple of things. One is when I first came to this parish, Father Alex and I used to go and visit a few group homes at the holidays around Easter. We'd give communion to the Orthodox Christian, people who lived in those group homes. I served on the board for EDA for a number of years, and I've been involved with Rise Life Homes, and I've been very involved with Love Michael. I might be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure that EDA and Rise have closed all of their homes on the East End because it just wasn't viable for there to be a home, a group home on the East End. The housing costs were just too prohibitive for that to happen at all. And I've always thought it was a shame that, nobody on the autism spectrum could find a group home in our neighborhood to live in. But it's not just about the existence of a group home or a community housing solution. It's also about what Love Michael does. And Love Michael doesn't just provide a house. Lisa talked about, and Mayor Menger talked about innovation and talked about cultivating autonomy and lives of meaning. As a person who worked in a group home in the 90s and a person who's been intimately involved in the work of Love Michael today, what they're really doing is raising the bar in terms of care and quality of life for people on the autism spectrum and with other needs. And the vision of Love Michael isn't limited to doing that here in Southampton. They host an annual seminar, right? People come literally from all over the country to learn about and try to replicate this model. So if Southampton is able to, as a town, is able to support this affordable housing solution, they're not just supporting an affordable housing solution for the dozen or so or however many people live in, work for, and have relationships with these people. You're really setting a new standard for the industry, not for the industry, for the community. And I want to just close by saying this. One of the things that's happened in our church, that's happened with the rowing, with the lifeguards, with the school, with the local businesses where some of the residents work, is we've burst the autism bubble. In my experience in the 90s, if you were on the autism spectrum and you were living in a group home, the only people you ever interacted with were other people on the autism spectrum and your direct support staff. That was it. And many of the residents in the room, they can attest to this here. They have real, meaningful relationships with members of our church, with fellow employees in the village and in the town, with their rowing coaches, with all the activities that they're involved in that are facilitated by Love Michael. You really have, in a way that I've never seen before and I think is extremely rare and really precious, you have real relationships, real friendships, real bonds being formed between the residents at Love Michael, the other disabled people who receive support from Love Michael, and the staff and volunteers of Love Michael. You will really be helping to burst the autism bubble in Southampton, and you will be setting a standard and a model for other communities in the world. And I think I'm over my 3 minutes. I have so much more to say, but I'll sit down.
You're good.
Thank you.
All right, so there are a lot of cards, so I'll call the name of the person to come up and then who's going to follow them, since some people are in the overflow room. And please do your best to limit your comments to 3 minutes so everyone has an opportunity to speak. The first is Jenna Carballo, followed by Heather Damon.
Hello, my name is Jenna Carballo, and I want to start off by saying Love Michael has changed my life for the very much better. I love Southampton. From the moment I came to visit one day, I said, wow, this community is incredible and I don't want to leave. I love everybody within the community. I love everybody that I row with. My rowing coaches are incredible. They helped me receive 2 gold medals during my races. And I also have a huge love for the Southampton Playhouse for offering me employment 3 months ago, so that's incredible. I have made lifelong friends that are here right now. They could tell you how amazing this is, but I feel like you want to hear it from me. Thank you.
Congratulations. Thank you, Jenna, and congratulations on your gold medals. Okay, Heather, and then after Heather, it's Kimberly Cause.
Hi, my name is Heather Damon. I'm here with my husband Jeffrey. We live in Brooklyn. Our son Eric lives as part of Love Michael Homes. During the pandemic, he was a senior in high school, and we were approaching that time where what was going to happen next. And he wanted to live independently. He wanted to move out. He wanted to go to college, but that wasn't an option. And we explained a residential program is what you need. And he said, okay, I'll do that. He wanted to be like his older brother. After many phone calls and emails, I was connected with Dr. Lisa Liberatore, and she invited us to come out to the church. And Eric spent some time in classes. We spoke to her, and we realized it really was a good fit for both of us. And we're not a religious family. I'm Jewish. My husband is Christian, but it didn't matter. We walked into this community where everyone's tradition and families were respected. We feel part of that community, and we share our traditions. We have celebrated both Hanukkah and Passover with the residents through sharing traditional meals and stories. And when my mom passed away, Eric didn't come with us to the funeral. It required traveling. But we had, as you do in the Jewish religion, like a shiva in the home. And Father Constantine was kind enough to come and share prayers in her honor, in her memory, which really showed what a beautiful, we're family. We're all, what Lisa called it, family. We feel very lucky to be part of the Love Michael community. We're extremely grateful to Lisa and Dimitri for building a program where my son can be treated with respect and live independently, and the leadership and the congregation of the Dormition of Virgin Mary providing a welcoming community and support for our residents. Thank you.
Thank you. So after Kimberly is Joe Carballa.
This is Jenna's painting.
Oh, could you introduce
Okay.
yourself for the record?
Oh, I'm sorry.
State your name.
I'm Kimberly Cause. I'm a lifetime resident of Southampton, graduate from the high school, raised my family here, had an aunt, Down syndrome situation where my grandmother had to send her upstate to live. So I experienced that, a son with special needs and a grandson on the autism spectrum.
And what's that painting you have?
And this is Jenna's version of Starry Night. This is one of the first, I wish I could have taken them all down, but I snagged it quickly off the wall. I was like, let me show everybody. Everyone did a Starry Night painting. I have a love of Van Gogh, and everybody, and we discussed Van Gogh, so we all decided on doing a Starry Night. This is the first submission to the Parish Art Museum, which we kind of I filled out the application. I experienced that when I was in the high school. My children experienced the annual art exhibit at the parish. So I was like, okay, I said, talk to Lisa, and I said, I'm going to get them in there. Filled all of it out. Meanwhile, on the burner, I had an email to go to the director so she understood who we were, because who knew who Love Michael was? I don't know, understand how she could have read it that quickly. I got a response. We are so thrilled to have you. And we have been participating with them ever since. I'm jumping ahead. Let me just explain. 12 years I was with Southampton Elementary School, the special ed department. 30 years the fire department. Rich, you might remember me, Rick. And in 2020, Lisa reached out to me to come to the house on 49 to work with just Mike. And then Christian came in, living in the residence. So we would do art twice a week, 2 hours a week, 2 students. Fast forward to 2025. I left the elementary school, 5 classes a week, 12 to 16 hours a week, 18 to 20 students, okay? And that is, you experience, some of you have come up to the classrooms and seen what it's like up there. We had 1 classroom.
30
Now we've got 5 classrooms. The program has grown so. We're doing mapping, science, artwork, and having these young adults in our community is not a one-sided relationship. They are involved. They're helping where and when they are needed.
3 minutes.
Sometimes, they participate at the Parish Art Museum, Rogers Memorial, the Phillips Cancer Center. We've done Kindness Rocks, the Watermill Center, Southampton Cultural Center, South Fork Nature Museum, food pantries. They did 2 deliveries of food, loading up the vans, bringing them for Thanksgiving. The animal shelter. All right, and that's what they participate in. What they give back, they host the Surfers Healing, the prom, a summer's dance, a Halloween dance, Mother's Day brunch. These are events where special needs adults are welcomed and feel comfortable and are able to make new friends. The growth with this program,
Kimberly, I need you to wrap it up.
All right. By supporting Love Michael, Southampton Town has the opportunity to show they support the support of these families and children and help with the growth of an amazing program.
Thank you
Sorry.
so much. All right, and after Joe, it's William Powers.
Good afternoon. My name is Joe Carballo. I'm Jenna Carballo's dad, and I appreciate you allowing me to say a few words. We're very proud to be part of Love Michael since its inception. We started Love Michael when it was a fledgling granola company being operated out of a cooperative bakery in Long Island City 1 day a week, and it's grown into this. Through the tutelage and care of Lisa Libertori and her husband, Dimitri, we have seen amazing progress through the years. The generosity and the love that's been showered on Jenna and the other residents is amazing. They really are just accepted for who they are and for what they are and for what they do, and we've really found some peace. My wife and I, and my other daughter, Kristen, that we found this residential program for our daughter because we would not have been able to find anything like this anywhere. We've looked, trying to find anything that would allow them to not just live there. Living in a residence is one thing, but to actually be able to contribute to a community and to be part of a community, to be out in this community, to work in the community, to play in the community, to make friends here, and to achieve relationships like we've never had. My wife and I were raised Catholic, and although I'm sort of a lapsed Catholic, coming out here, Jenna absolutely loved the Dormition of the Virgin Mary Church. Father Alex and Father Constantine were very welcoming, and she actually became part of the congregation with our blessing. She's achieved that spiritual growth through Love Michael, being able to express herself and her feelings and what it is that she wants to do, and it's something that we have fostered in her through her childhood and through her life. But to get here was they say that it takes a village to raise a child. Well, it takes a globe to raise an autistic community, and everyone has to be involved. And when we have that, we can see exactly where we are and how we get there.
30 seconds.
So I appreciate your attention. I appreciate your care in this matter, and I thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you. Thank you, Joe. After William, it's David, and I think it's Cootie.
It's Cook.
Cook, okay, thank you. It's okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. My name is Will Powers. I am the father of Jack, and my wife here is Jeanette. Jack has been here since a resident since September 2023. He is happy, healthy, and active. And to hear those things when you talk about an autistic child is nothing short of incredible. Lisa referenced that we were invited by Assemblyman Santa Barbara, who we were introduced to by a former board member, Assemblyman Shavano. We were brought to Albany to give testimony for our model. And the reason for that is those hearings were not a happy event. There were 5 hours. They were testifying about an looming crisis. And the reason we were invited was we have a model which won't be a panacea, but is certainly going to put a dent in the type of the capacity they need to create housing. Love Michaels is an alternative residential model that we're seeking to get officially sanctioned by OPWDD. It relies on the families coming together, combine their talent, their time, and their money, and to build a better outcome that they otherwise couldn't achieve on their own. That is built on the backbone of our faith-based partner, the Dormition of the Virgin Mary Cathedral here in Southampton. That bring, the classrooms, the conference room, the commercial kitchen thing. But far more important than that, they bring a whole network of circle of care, people who look after these kids, who spend time, who help them get into the community. My son Jack loves Southampton. He goes to Union Burger, Hampton Gyro, Cooper's Beach. I mean, he's become a virtual thing. He's marched in the parade with the ocean rescue people. How he's been integrated has been nothing short of marvelous here. I believe that this is a model that is replicable. It creates economies of scale, purchasing power, and above all, it's resilient. It doesn't rise and fall on one parent, and that is incredibly important. We are going to work to replicate this across the state. I believe that Southampton will be known as one of the sources of the solutions for this terrible problem that's facing a lot of parents. Thank you for your faith in us.
Okay, so David Cook, come on up, and then after David is Demetrius Lazarakis.
Hello.
Demetrius had to go back to school to take a test.
Okay, all right. Then after David would be Alex King.
Hi guys, my name is David Cook. I have autism myself. I was diagnosed when I was 18 months old. In a lot of ways, my disability is a little bit more invisible to a lot of people, but it does profoundly impact my life in a lot of ways. My hand-eye coordination is not very good. I didn't learn to drive until I was 24 years old. And I will say it was due in a lot to the work that my mother poured into me that I was able to get as far as I was in life. I don't think she's here, but I struggle with, as a consequence of my diagnosis, I struggle with anxiety, depression. I get overstimulated easily. I've had a hard time doing a lot of jobs that I've done. One job I got fired from, I didn't disclose that I was autistic, but I just wasn't good at what I was doing. I mean, it was a grocery store job, but I wasn't good at like organizing the shelves, and you know, it didn't go very well. But I did do well in school. I am academically inclined, so I did well in school. I got a history degree, but after I got out, I really didn't know what to do, didn't really have any path in life. But I met Lisa about 3 years ago, and through the wonderful work that Love Michael does, I found a job as a teacher. So I teach a class to some of the young men and women that are here. I have meaningful work being able to invest in a community that I really care about. I have seen firsthand what Love Michael does for these students, giving them a meaningful quality of life that is not completely dependent on their parents. I mean, I can say as someone autistic myself, you know, my parents love me and I love them, but I don't want to be reliant on them. You know, there's something undignified about that. I'm grateful for their help, but I want to be able to move beyond them, and I'm sure everyone else here does too. Through Indigo Life classes, students are able to do things with their peers. They're able to engage in game playing and music and art and exercise their creative sides. I've seen these things and experienced the benefit of these programs firsthand, so I'm here today to support Love Michael as an advocate.
Well, thank you so much. Very nice to meet you. Okay, Alex and King, and after Alex is Heather Hawks. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Alex King, Chief of Southampton Village Ocean Rescue. We have had the privilege of working closely with Love Michael. We are a small part of their grand enrichment program. We've taken her residents swimming, and we've worked with them in surface healing, and we do days at the beach, and we know that they really look forward to them. So. But one thing that I could say that it's being in this room with all this love, and it's so special. And the one thing that you can't see being here is you can't see where these people were before they were in these Love Michael homes. And we've been working with them for years, so we've seen a tremendous evolution. And where they are now, to be sitting here peacefully for this amount of time is remarkable. And no, it is, because part of being on the spectrum is there's multiple disorders that come with it, like ADHD and OCD, and you know, very commonly autism is paired with those other issues as well. So this alone, just sitting here like this, is huge. And she has set the gold standard for. So what this model is the gold standard for care of people with autism. So we are fully in support of this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. All right, after Heather Hawks is Victoria Muller.
Good afternoon, members of the board, community, friends, participants. I'm honored to be here and speak on behalf of Love Michael.
Could you state your name for the record?
Heather Hawks.
Thank you.
I am a resident of North Sea. I am retired from the Southampton School District. I'm very recently an official member of the Dormition Cathedral as of October. I was baptized and chrismated. And I'm also a part-time employee of Love Michael. When I was first offered the opportunity, I said yes. I am a single earner employee. I'm a single earner income. I've struggled with affordable housing. And so I figured I could kind of help make ends meet and be of use. It took about 2 weeks before the realization came that I was not being of service to the people who were participating. It was the other way around. This is an extraordinary group of people. I'm retired from special education 31 years. I never thought I'd go back to it. And I'm here to tell you that I wouldn't do anything else than work with this group. They've made me better. I'm more creative. I'm more patient. I love this community more. I thought about leaving recently. You know, the entire community is driven by wealthy tourism. But the community doesn't make the people. The people make the community. And this group here, all of the people advocating for Love Michael, they make this community wealthy, well beyond measure financially. We contribute, but the real contributors are them. You won't find a better group spearheaded with love, empathy, compassion, understanding, and it most definitely is a two-way street. I thank you for the time. I hope that you will understand the value that they can lend to everybody within the room and far beyond that, because it is my firm belief that Love Michael and the community that has not only surrounded it is making the entire area, the East End and Suffolk County, and God willing and in time throughout the nation, this should be the standard to provide the opportunities so that you too can be enriched with what they have to offer. Thank you for your time.
Okay, and after Victoria Muller, it's Pamela Blackburn.
Hi, I'm Victoria Muller, and thank you for this opportunity to speak. I am a Southampton resident and a parent of 2 children with autism. They are 19 and 24, and I might get a little teary-eyed because I'm in the thick of it. We are aging out of school, and trying to find a future for them. I'm here today to strongly support the use of community housing funds for Love Michael. Sorry, I'm very teary-eyed. This is something I'm very passionate about right now. This project provides something our community urgently needs, but has almost no access to. Small, integrated, supportive housing for autistic and developmentally disabled adults. Families like mine live every day with the fear of what happens when our children become adults. They age out of school and are not yet ready for the future. We try, but they don't always succeed. They need the supports. We want them to have a chance to live safely, independently, and with dignity, right here in the community that they grew up in. Love Michael has offered guidance and support to my family, thank you, personally, and I've seen firsthand care, compassion, and commitment that they bring to this work. Love Michael's model is not a large institution. It's a home. It's a place where young adults can receive support, learn skills, work, and be part of the Southampton community. Please know that this investment will change lives, not just today, but hopefully for decades to come. Thank you.
And after Pamela Blackburn is Cola Romano.
Good afternoon, and thank you. I'm going to keep this very brief. I'm Pamela Blackburn. I'm a lifelong resident of Southampton, went to Southampton High School. My husband and I lived in California for 10 years in our youth doing that thing. And I went to school in Pennsylvania. My point being, when I moved back to Southampton permanently, I remembered how much, like, all the reasons why I loved it here. And probably the biggest reason was that I just felt that strong sense of community when I moved back, because I did not feel that where I lived in California, LA. And I felt like everyone's arms opened and welcomed me back. And my husband, who was from Smithtown, but they welcomed him like a family. You walk into, Herrick's Hardware or Sip and Soda or wherever, and you just, even if you don't specifically know the people, you feel a connection to them because this community is so tight, and you all know this. I say all that to say, we live in the most beautiful area in the world, probably the most, if not most, top 3 most expensive zip code in the world. we're surrounded by these big, huge houses, and I feel like a lot of what people think of when they think of this town and the Hamptons is all the big, beautiful houses, but that's not what it is. It's the people, and it's taking care of each other, and that's what always made me so proud of Southampton, was the people taking care of each other. Now, my husband and I and our son are very new members of the Dormition of the Virgin Mary Cathedral. We did not, again, we did not raise our son religiously, but he, at 15 years old, decided he wanted to kind of learn more about God and what is that all about. Long story short, he decided he wanted to become Greek Orthodox. So he was welcomed in. We, the three of us, we showed up one day for liturgy, not knowing what we were getting into, and when I tell you, we were welcomed with open arms, that's an understatement. People walked up to us. I mean, I don't remember if it was actually Father Alex or Father Constantine, came up to us personally and said, "Hey, I don't recognize you. You guys are new here. Let me tell you a little something. You're here a little early." But, and then everyone, Fran, everyone just said, oh, so my point is.
30 seconds.
Thank you. Gosh, I thought it would only take 30 seconds. What this church does for this group of people and how happy I see them during Divine Liturgy and all the outreach that they do, and it's just incredible. So I just know as a community and as Southampton, I know that there's no reason you will find not to support this.
Thank you. So next is Cola Romano, and after Cola is Kim Castellano Romano. All right, perhaps they're in, oh, here they come. Hi.
They had me in the other room. Thank you for the opportunity, allowing me to speak and address you. My wife, I'm speaking for my wife, Kim, and on behalf of my son, Alex, who's 23 and has been part of Love Michael, and we've been residents of Southampton for over 20 years. You've heard a lot already, so I just want to really emphasize two things. The first is, that as parents of an autistic child, every parent goes through this, which is we all have the same fears and concerns. What's going to happen to our kids, our sons and daughters, when we're not here? And I can tell you that they require specialized care that our family members are not equipped to give, no matter how hard they try and how much they want to, and Love Michael is equipped. I have maybe it's a unique personality quirk, but when my son, and Kim does this too, but when our son Alex is going to do something new, we sort of immerse ourselves a little bit to understand what he's going to be involved in. He can't always explain everything to us, so we get involved. And for the better part of the last 5 months, I've gone with Alex almost every day to actually watch what takes place at Love Michael. And I can tell you that they live the mission that they say of welcoming the kids with dignity and creating a community. And what Dr. Lisa has set up is really almost unique, I dare say unique in my experience from what we've seen with Alex for the last 20 years. So I'll echo what was said earlier. I think that this is not just helping these particular young adults, but it is setting a template for what can be done everywhere across the country. And we need enduring programs that will help these people, these autistic people. And so I strongly urge you to support what is taking place here today. Thank you.
So Kim is not speaking? Okay, thank you. Jean Edgerton Warburton.
Hi, good afternoon. I was not planning on speaking today, but I was just so compelled to come in. And first of all, thank you for listening. I'm a mother of a 13-year-old little boy with a rare neurological brain disorder who is profoundly autistic. And Roland is part of the Love Michael family. He has been taken in by the church, and I can't tell you how meaningful it is that the town of Southampton has supported Roland since we've been living here year-round. The district, as well as Love Michael and Father Constantine, Lisa Liberatore reaches out to me constantly to say how can she get involved, how she can get Roland involved in Love Michael's. All I can really say is deeply from my heart, it's not just the children and young adults who are on the spectrum that we're talking about, but the profound impact that autism has on parents is a 24-hour feeling within you. And the support that we have in Southampton and this community of parents who undergo waking up in the middle of the night with your child crying at 4 o'clock in the morning and trying to just receive support, and people understanding how hard it is to be a parent of a child with special needs. Southampton has really embraced our family and other families here. And just in a closing note, I just want to say that quote, "It takes a village," and Southampton is that village for all of these individuals. So thank you so much for your consideration and your time.
Those are all the cards that I have. But Kevin, is there anyone on Zoom that wishes to be heard at this first public hearing?
No one on Zoom.
Okay. Director Bach, could you just come back up for a moment, please? So when Joy was up, she mentioned a lot of the particulars about what would be going in the agreement. They're not in the resolution. Could you just explain the process then, if the board is, goes forward with the resolution?
Sure. Yeah, the terms of the covenant that will be placed on the property are not included in the resolution. We couldn't possibly include all of the different, items that will be included in that covenant. But I hope that you all have the confidence in me as your director that I will include all of that into the covenant, all of the recommendations that Joy has mentioned that the CHF Advisory Board is recommending to you will be included in that covenant that will be written. And you, of course, will have an opportunity to review that prior to any signing.
Okay, does anybody else have any questions for Kara?
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I'll just say that this is a unique and important program, and I have had the opportunity to tour the facilities and, view some of the classes and programs, and I fully support the funding. I think it's very important. And if nobody else has any other comments or questions, then I'd like to, unless you.
I'll just say really briefly, I want to thank Kara. This has been about a 2-year process, and I know the CHF Advisory Board also has done a lot of work working with Lisa, and trying to create that synergy to create a path forward that would be viable. And I just want to appreciate everybody's time. I know it was a lot of work, but you did it. And I do want to just briefly state, personally for me, as my sibling is on the spectrum, my older sister, and my aunt who passed away had Down syndrome. This is an issue for me that to see this happen in a town where my grandparents came in the 1950s, 60s, and their family came here and made this place their home. To be here today among all of you means a lot to me. And I'm just so proud to be here with all of you, and it's an honor to serve and do something so special for the community. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just want to mention, when we started the Community Housing Fund, way beyond it was even officially a Community Housing Fund, we spoke a lot about, making housing for first responders and our EMS and our teachers and our nurses. But we knew all along that the community took into so many other avenues of people that we had to look out for and had to protect. The fact that we can actually do this, and for me, this is a very small amount of money to keep such a wonderful organization going. I mean, it really, I hope that this makes every newspaper and every TV channel, and if you accept donations, that, you know, this will span the East End from here on with this little emphasis that we're doing right now. You know, I'm very proud to be part of this. We don't often have a chance to feel good. You know? Normally we're the board that draws a line in the sand, tells you don't pass it, you gotta do this, you can't do that. So I'm hoping as co-sponsor that this does pass, and, you know, it'll be wonderful for everybody.
I just want to thank Joy and the CHF board for really working on this and getting those extenuating circumstances, because as you know, for us, it was a really important thing that it remain affordable and it remain what it is and what it's intended to be far into the future. And I thank you, because, you know, the things that you spelled out for, you know, what is in place for those extenuating circumstances does make a big difference, and I appreciate the work that you did on this. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. All right, well, if there's no other comments or questions, then I move to close the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I'd like to move to take the resolution out of order that's addressing this matter.
Second.
It's Town Board Resolution
What
ID
page
number
are you on?
51.
Oh,
It's
it's
on,
in the
it's a
walk-on.
walk-on, 51745, Sunday. Michael seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And I'd like to be added as a sponsor as well, yeah.
Sunday, could you add me as well?
Good, full board sponsorship, excellent. That's yours.
Can I make a motion? So,
Yeah, go
Town Board Resolution 51745, to authorize the use of community housing funds for the acquisition of disability housing deed restriction. This is for Love Michael.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you all so much for coming today. With
Congratulations.
Father Constantine.
Oh, you too.
Much.
Good to see you.
We're so glad to do it.
Can we get a picture? Yeah, look. Can you get the Love Michael and you?
Good to see you. Thank you so much. Merry Christmas, everyone. And I was so impressed. So much. I also wanted to bring up
Well done.
They've had little birthday parties for him. He doesn't have any friends.
Coming,
yes, that was back when he was 11, he was 13, so just turned 13 a couple of weeks ago, and my parents came down. And we didn't do a big party, but they came in and ride with my fire truck.
Thank you so much.
Well done. Nice job.
Just like one time, you know, drop it.
You're great guys.
I mean, that is like incredible that we have that here.
All right, I'm gonna have to commend you.
I was the one that
I said, I don't have to commend you. I stand up. That extra large coffee before I, get here.
incredible because I feel like I'm not doing enough for them because I'm the one who's getting everything.
You're gonna gavel it, Marie?
Thank you.
You're gonna gavel it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, anytime.
I'll be taking a picture on it. I got
Lots of teachers. You're always welcome to the house.
Kim,
Why, who's taking?
was there an extra vote on that? They had already.
Who's she taking the picture with?
I just want to thank you personally.
They're out of order. Okay. I didn't get the second one because.
I know, it was beautiful,
You got it though, right?
Where's everybody going?
Huh?
Where's everybody going?
I don't know. I think it's from England.
Who's the board? Janice!
So once there was a car, there was pitchforks.
Because Dr. Lisa wants us to take a picture.
Yeah, you should. You should. Yeah, really. Thanks so much. We really appreciate it. We've been residents.
Dr. Lisa wants us to take pics, so.
I want to get an apartment in Seattle.
Because we don't want her to get tight without taking pics.
You don't want? What'd you say? I'm sorry.
We don't want Dr. Lisa to get tight without taking pictures before we leave.
God's working at 49. Oh, I want Chris McGowan to work with us.
Yeah.
Yeah, we really appreciate
This is great.
Chris is working with you guys. Yeah, the kids are like, they're why we're here.
Great job.
I love you, Beverly. Yeah, Beverly. And this is what it's always Merry Christmas. Thank you.
Michael.
We should wait for Rick. Yeah, I'm waiting for Rick. Yeah, let's wait for Rick. John, get ready. Up front, come on up front. Elias, make room. Put your arm around this gentleman next to you, honey. There we go. All right. On three, say love. 1, 2, 3.
Stay put. One more.
You want to see cheese? All right. Cheese, cheese.
Heather, Eric's mom, he said that Eric wants to go away to college. That's never going to
So, should I just call Kim and ask her when you?
Oh, call me and we'll talk on
I
Thursday and
want you
I'll
to
call Terry
see.
in.
I want you to see what's going on before you.
Let me
so
just
you
shoot you a
understand
meeting
it.
invite.
Yes, please. I just have to open up the town board session, and then I'm good. Like after.
My thing got changed from Thursday to January 15th, so I'll have a chance.
Okay.
I'm bringing the grandbaby in on Thursday.
Are you?
I want to,
Oh,
Dan
good.
wants to try to
On
get a
Thursday-
picture here.
On Thursday, because I have something too that I never got to get.
Dan's got to get his new credentials, he's a part-time worker, so he's going to bring them up in right after the work session. Take pictures up here.
He's
He
part-time.
works at the senior center at night. He closes it.
Well, you know what? That's not far from home.
Well, yeah, he still complains, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Is he taking any tests?
No.
You know, because they.
2 is the housing overlay,
Because when.
and then 6 is the hotel.
Where's Mike? You know? But they have all these types and they're coming
He's getting bigger
He
in
is so
6
cute.
months.
No, what size is he wearing?
So he's just into 12 months, and then, like, I bought him stuff for Christmas that's 18 months. So.
Okay.
All right.
I got something that was 12 to 18, so I figured he's growing early.
It depends on the item. What's today?
I think I gave up one too many.
All right. I don't know. Just take one now. Okay, let's get back to business. Madam Clerk, would you please read the notice for the second public hearing when you're
There, my
ready?
my action off here. Okay, public hearing number 2, to repeal chapter 330 zoning, article VA. Is that a Roman numeral? I should have asked this. It's 5 and 5A, okay, sorry. I couldn't figure that out. Entitled Affordable Housing Overlay District, AHOD, sections 29.1 to 29.11, rename Article 5A to Community Housing Fund Overlay District, and replace sections 29.1 to 29.10 with updated standards in order to coordinate zoning procedures with the town board's process for community housing fund approvals.
Good afternoon, Madam Supervisor, members of the board. Janice Scherer, Town Planning and Development Administrator. Just in continuation and furtherance of this public hearing, I'd like to call your attention to the Suffolk County Planning Commission staff report that was adopted on December 3rd at their regular meeting. At the last page, page 9 of 10 and 10 of 10 are their recommendations. And if I may, just briefly outline them. They approve of the code amendments. They said that the town should continually consider measures that will streamline the advancement of your community housing initiatives that disperse the CPF funds and community housing funds as intended. Number 2, they said locations where existing zoning allows for moderate or higher density housing are more feasible for affordable housing projects. Their third comment was that the best locations for the town to site affordable housing projects are generally in areas with access to jobs, transit, and amenities, which can include both higher income neighborhoods and areas that are underutilized. Comment 4, consider all areas that can accommodate the change from single-family to multifamily or from commercial to residential, which present opportunities to increase housing capacity. Comment 5, incorporate form-based code elements into the community housing overlay that are tailored to a specific community character and aim to create predictable, high-quality physical results. Focus on what the community wants and tailor requirements to fit in with the neighborhood characteristics and local architecture. And comment 6, the proposed legislation is consistent with local plan recommendations, that zoning and related development regulations be revised to maintain consistency with the comprehensive plan. So with all of that is to say that the County Planning Commission approves the law. And then if you have any questions, I'm here. And I'm here to go over also if you have any SECRA-related questions.
That's what you also handed out, the seeker. What was the summary results of that?
Summary was, because what you're doing is creating a category and you're not landing it yet. So you'll do SECRA again each and every time you want to utilize it and land it. But the action of creating such a category is a negative declaration, no impact.
And did the planning board have any comments?
Planning, yes, I discussed that last time. The planning board supports it. And
They didn't
I
have
sent
any.
that to the town clerks. That was last meeting, so yes. So you're.
All right, let's see, we do have some cards on this. William DeConza. And after William, it's Raymond Clapp.
Good afternoon. Thank you for listening to me. That was wonderful to sit through that last hearing.
Thank you.
It is positive. It's nice to, especially at the end of the year, to have something positive occurring. I think this is...
Could you state your name for the record?
Sure. William DeConza, West Hampton Beach, New York. We miss you.
Thank you.
I think this is a fantastic thing, again, something very helpful to the community, the affordable housing, and any way we can get more of that accomplished, the better. My one concern was going through the proposed amendment that it doesn't include the R40 zoning district. And I was just wondering, since you have a lot of standards and you can move the floating district and float it, you could always deny an application in the R40.
Sir, I don't want to interrupt
Sure,
you, but
please.
we did add that. It's in the amended version that we're, have on for adoption.
The R20 and the R40.
R20 and R40 are on.
Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you. All right, that was it. So Raymond Clapp and then Gail Lombardi.
Good afternoon, everybody. All right. You know me, some of you don't. Raymond Clare, Covenant Lane, Southampton, New York. I am a member of the North Sea CAC, but I am speaking for myself, so just to get that clear. North Sea is home to the largest estates in Southampton, a quaint hamlet, and 2 dumps. No to the housing overlay district, in my opinion. North Sea has 3 projects planned with Curtis, and they should only go to people who work in North Sea Hamlet. This would take 30-plus cars commuting off the highway. Every hamlet and village should have their housing projects self-contained and built according to their needs to relieve highway traffic and help businesses. If you build housing in a hamlet or village, the residents work there. This place has become a summer destination for the wealthy. We are not a real town anymore. It's closing businesses, doctors, families are leaving. Rush hour is all day long. Now, that's why the housing bill should be hamlet-specific. Type, cost, mortgage, or rent. You can't move around here anymore. And every time we have something going on, and you say, there's a traffic problem, oh no, there's no traffic, and the project goes through. Then when we complain afterwards, yes, we have a traffic problem, nothing gets done. And it's to the point in North Sea, the back roads are jammed up. Everything is a cutoff street. And if you put the housing, hamlet specific, then you will have the needs of the hamlet. Tuckahoe has different needs than Southampton Village. North Sea has different needs than Watermill. That's all. Everybody have a good day, thank you, and have a good Christmas.
Thank you. Same to you, Ray. All right, Gail Lombardi.
Hi, Gail.
Good afternoon. Definitely feel good for the Community Housing Fund, but I don't feel good about this resolution. In fact, I see it's on the agenda, and I strongly oppose the adoption of it, and I actually request that the town put a moratorium on the existing affordable housing ordinance. It's a 35-year-old ordinance, first of all. And now you're re-energizing a 35-year-old ordinance with community housing funds. The funds, again, as Rick said, were made to be very specific, and I agree with that gentleman, and I think Councilperson McNamara brought it up at 27 East, that our communities are very unique and distinct, that we were promised with the housing fund that it was going to be hamlet by hamlet. You had separate Zoom calls, 10, 15 people were on the calls because it was during COVID, and the next thing is there's this blanket, vague housing plan, one size fits all, one size does not fit all. The town, again, is turning a blind eye to the comprehensive environmental review, despite their full knowledge. I'm sorry, you got to give me a little leeway with the papers here. The significant deficiencies in the town to absorb dense housing. The resolution states that the zoning is not expected to result in any significant adverse environmental impacts, noting that the secret, as Janice said, will also be conducted in such time that the zone floats down and is applied to a particular piece of property. The zones don't float down on land in Middle America, but it floats down onto heavily populated hamlets, including Hampton Bays and specifically Hampton Bays, without understanding the full environmental comprehensive impact, not on one 4-story building, but comprehensively. The community character is lost, the traffic continues to increase, and these comprehensive reviews are long overdue. You cannot continue to stuff 10 pounds of potatoes in a 5-pound bag and not expect them to burst. Additionally, I want to state for the record that it is my contention that the community housing plan de facto discriminates against Hampton Bays. Hampton Bays already has the highest housing and population density, and I believe the highest number of affordable units. Until such time that the other hamlets in housing equals Hampton Bays, there should be nothing that floats down onto Hampton Bays regarding the zoning. Lastly, regarding the ADUs, I want to point out that the density issue in Hampton Bays was recognized by prior administrations, and I think I saw former Councilwoman Christine Scalera here, because the as-of-right ADUs was determined that we shouldn't have additional ADUs in Hampton Bays because of the small sites. At the 27 East panel, Janice Shearer mentioned that there's an abundance of applications in the Zoning Board of Appeals that demonstrate the absolute need for affordable housing in Hampton Bays. I went back the past year, there were 3. I don't consider that an abundant need for affordable housing in Hampton Bays. I appreciate all your time and all that you've done for Hampton Bays, but as I said to you many times, I do not trust the planning process and the zoning process in the town of Southampton, in Hampton Bays, because I do believe that you all look, not you necessarily, but the administration looks to Hampton Bays and the developers for the cheap price of land and put more density, and people don't speak up. People in Hampton Bays are busy. They don't have time to look at this, nor do I want to look at this anymore. They don't have time. They don't look at it even when there's a plan sometimes. They don't look at it till there's a bulldozer in the ground. And it's sad that that's what I feel has become, even today with all that you've done for Hampton Bays. That's not part of the zoning, but thank you for your time.
I just want to point out that these projects are going to the community before they even come to the town board, so.
I don't have any other cards on this, but Kevin, is there anyone on Zoom that wants to speak at this second public hearing?
I have 2 hands up.
Okay.
Sorry, 3 hands.
Pamela, are you there?
Yes, I am, but somehow my video isn't going on. But you know, on my computer, it's video enabled, but the video isn't, I don't think you can see me, right?
No.
So it's a CTV problem. But anyway, I'll just start speaking nonetheless. You can hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So as you know, I did speak at the November 25th public hearing, and I want to point out that my colleague Meredith Berkowitz and I were the only two people in the entire town of Southampton that appeared at that public hearing on this subject, which led me to believe, I don't think it's apathy. I think most people didn't know about it. And this whole topic, I know, Cindy, you say that no project will get done without civic and CAC consultation, but then I wonder why were our liaisons not sent to the civics to tell us about this resolution before it was written and put in the public hearing process? We didn't know anything about it until we read agendas of the town board hearings. And that's probably one reason why Meredith and I were the only people to speak on November 25th, and I see only two more people or three people before me today. And it's also being done the last 2 months of the year, which are the holiday seasons, Thanksgiving and the Christmas holiday season. And I think that, if we were talking about a resolution that was specific to one property, it would be different. But this is a resolution that's for the entire town. All the unincorporated hamlets in Southampton town will be affected by this legislation. And I think to have it sort of what seems to be rushed through the public hearing process the last 2 months of the year without community engagement and community education seems a little too hasty. So I would respectfully ask the town board if you can adjourn this so that we can continue the discussion in early 2026. Another thing I want to clarify is that this is called the Community Housing Fund Overlay Districts. But I was under the impression when I spoke on November 25th that I believe I was told that CHF money would be used to purchase land, but that the additional funds to actually build the buildings might come from grants that would be taken from the county, the state, and perhaps even the federal government. Is that true?
Yeah, that could
Hello?
be. Yes, that could be.
It's a question.
Certainly could be, yes.
Yes, so if that's true, I don't know why we're calling it Community Housing Fund Overlay Districts when in reality, a lot of the money might be coming from out-of-town grants. And so it's a
We're calling
little,
it that because it would only apply to projects for which the town has allocated community housing funds. So if a developer comes in and is not receiving funds from the town and just, money elsewhere, the project doesn't qualify for this overlay.
okay, and so I'm also under the impression that, and I think Curtis substantiated that, was that when you do take grant money from outside the town, you cannot necessarily control who can apply. In other words, what I'm hearing most from community people, at least in Bridgehampton, is we'd love to have some affordable housing so that our children and grandchildren can stay in the community. That's what we're hearing most. But if outside money is taken, that's not what it would be limited to, and therefore wouldn't necessarily fulfill the desires of our community. And it also seems to be the legislative intent is so that workers can live within the community. But if you're the kind of worker who's a plumber, an electrician, or a landscaper, your manifest for a single day might go anywhere from Montauk to Spionk. And therefore, they are still going to be joining the trade parade, even though they live within the unincorporated hamlets. School teachers and librarians have one place to go for the day, but that's not that's not really true of nearly all the workers that are contributing to our traffic. And the other point is the high density of these kinds of projects. If we're talking about up to 4 stories or 2 stories, we already have, as Gail pointed out,
30
and,
seconds.
tremendous amount of traffic. And so I wonder about that. How is this going to alleviate traffic, which is also one of the goals that people talk about when they say we're going to place workers within the community? Thank you for considering these things. Thank you.
So I have just 2 quick comments on that. And one is that even if we only used community housing fund money, we could not restrict residency to Southampton town people. We were not allowed to do that. And the second thing that was stated was, solving traffic. And we're never going to build our way out of traffic. I mean, it's just going to be a way of life. It's more about getting people that work out here a place to live closer to work versus solving the traffic. We're not solving the traffic, we're just, for the people that we can build workforce housing for to live in the community, it makes it easier for those individuals to live and reside and work in the place that they live.
They're not traveling out from the west.
Yes, especially if they're near the family. That's where the home is.
And between the last meeting and this meeting, I have received no questions about this from the Bridgehampton Civic.
Curtis or Kara, do you want to just speak about the fair housing law?
Curtis Highsmith, Executive Director, Southampton Housing Authority. I've addressed before, and I'll address again. Question is always, can you have local preferences or preferences with regards to the application process or selection process for affordable housing developments? The issue has to do with infringing upon a protected class. So if you have such preference that says we only want to have individuals that live and or work in the town of Southampton, or in the hamlet or Hampton Bays, or work for the school district, whatever the case may be, the municipality has to show, or the developer has to show, that whatever preference they have or present will not infringe upon a protective class. How do you do that? Typically, that's some type of census. Since we don't have that study, since we cannot determine and show that, it can, in fact, infringe upon a protective class, create various lawsuits or litigation against the municipality and the developer. So you can't do it. We don't do it because of that issue. As it relates to this particular program that's being proposed right now, I'm going to let you know that most developers are not happy about it. Why? Because it gives CACs in the community basically more control over these developments being built. In other words, before it can even be considered, it would have to go to the Community Housing Fund. Then from the Community Housing Fund, that individual, that developer has to go to the CAC, to the civic, and to the community for their recommendation and their support. Most developers don't have to do that independently now. They would most likely do it in order to try to streamline their process from a public hearing, but right now it's a requirement. And most developers who deal with their own money rather not go in that parallel. They would rather solicit your approval and try to get as much as they possibly can. And they play this game, 60 units, because I know the net is going to be about 45. This is limiting the amount of units. You're maximizing the amount of units at 35. With a max of 10 units per acre. These are limitations most developers will not accept, because we don't develop based on number of units. We develop based on what can be developed and sustain itself, what our debt services will be. Can we develop it? Can we fund it? Can it be built? Is the area a perfect health department? There's so many measures. We can't base it specifically on the number of units. So even from a developer standpoint, this is kind of a backwards way of looking at this. We're happy because part of the excitement about it, it involves the Community Housing Fund. And that has been the biggest benefit for our projects going forward. Taking care and resolving that acquisition costs has helped us tremendously be able to push forward these programs. We had some issues. I've said it before, I'll say it again. We had some issues developing Sandy Hollow and Spionk. Why? we became we did not have enough funding for the entire project because we had debt. We had pre-development. We had a wastewater treatment plant. We had expenses. We have taxes. Oh, and by the way, insurance is ridiculous right now. Our insurance premium went up $150,000 from 2025 to 26. What happens to that money? Well, unfortunately, now we have to look at how we're going to keep rents low and still sustain the projects. That's where this community housing fund has been very beneficial for us. So I'm a little different because I believe everyone, every civic will agree. I attend every meeting. I canvass the meetings. I ensure and make sure that I speak to each individual, and I will handle the questions. I will handle the issues. Every project we have on in our wait list right now, or in the process of being developed now, they started with a specific design and have molded and morphed into what I believe is well-designed projects. North Sea Mecox, both, even the Eastern. All of these came as one project, and the community, working with the community, developed it to be a better project. That's what this is going to do for you. It's going to take that developer who wants to just do his or her own thing and get you more involved in operating and creating a better project that will be best suited for your community. It gives you a better voice. Any questions?
Could I just ask, so, Carrie, you may want to speak to this. Curtis, you could stay up there because in a lot of ways you both work in tandem. If, obviously it's good for the liaison to reach out to their individual civics, but if any of the organizations, civic organizations, CAC heads have questions, are you able to attend with Curtis or have Curtis attend?
Absolutely, yeah, for sure.
And they could reach out to you, Kara, right?
Yeah, for sure.
What's can you just put your email out just so that people know?
It's it's easy, KBAK at southamptontowny.gov. Just know I'm always open. You can email me, call me. Our CHF meetings are public meetings, and anybody who would like to attend is invited to attend. But I just wanted to, if I may, respond to just something that was said a little bit earlier. The supervisor was correct in what she's saying is that this zoning law must be used in connection with CHF funding. The CHF law has some very strict parameters about how the money can be used. And one of those is that it has to be used to provide equitable distribution of community housing opportunities among all communities of the town. So I can tell you that we are very aware of that when we are looking at a project with the CHF Advisory Board. And we have projects right now in Watermill, in North Sea, in Tuckahoe, in Shinnecock Hills, Quayog. Did I miss any? But I mean, you can see that there's Riverside. There's an equitable distribution across all hamlets, all areas of the town at this point. We don't have any projects in Hampton Bays.
We have no projects in Hampton Bays.
So that's, that should be important to know, that we do definitely take a look at that. And do,
it's in Hampton Bays School District, but it's in Shinnecock Hills.
I got it.
Shinnecock Hills.
Okay.
All right, thank you both.
And with the Community Housing Fund, one more thing. It requires the project to stay affordable perpetuity. And that's huge, because a few times you will see developers who, especially if there's tax credits involved, will say, well, we don't want to we don't want to deal with this during the regulatory period, because our intentions are to sell it down the road. And in which case, it can always, at that particular time, it can transfer out of the affordability. You can sell it to a for-profit developer. So because there are covenant restrictions that require the projects to remain affordable in perpetuity, it's a greater oversight and stronghold on these projects to remain affordable.
And could I just mention that in those hamlets that I just mentioned to you, right now, we have over 50 units of housing that are being held up because we need to have proper zoning in place in order to get those off the ground.
Correct.
So by your support of passing this zoning law, we will have the ability to create 50-plus units of affordable housing in the town.
Most of which are homeownership.
Yep.
Most of which, and it's not that there is no provision or pathway to get to the zoning required for us to build these projects. No one wants to hear zoning change.
Curtis, and those 50 units are distributed equitably across the town, would you say, that are in the queue? What would you say?
It's all east of the canal.
Okay.
It's Shinnecock, as we just stated, Shinnecock Hills, North Sea, and Watermill.
Okay.
Yeah, and approval of this today or soon doesn't change the fact that you still have to go
Through the process.
go through the process for each one. You have to
Yes.
still land it, so I just want to give the public the idea that you pass it today and then you can start building. You can't.
It still goes through secret.
Obviously-
It still goes through
secret.
public
Well,
hearings.
it still has to go through zoning.
And
Yeah,
it
so
still goes
have
through
to
a
vote
public
to-
hearing process.
And the planning board.
Yep.
So it really is, you still have to do essentially the same, close to the same thing as far as the change of zone process. So just, all the protections are still in there for publics to comment and civic associations and CACs to comment and all that. You're gonna have your work sessions, you're gonna have your public hearings, you're gonna do your secret reviews, all that. It's not like you're short-circuiting anything here, it's.
It's not like we pass this today and these
Right.
projects happen tomorrow.
Right.
It's
Correct.
still has a whole.
Want to make sure the public understands that if everybody's watching that tonight.
All right, thank you both. We've got
Thank
two
you.
other, Kevin, we've got two other, correct?
Yeah, we just have one more.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon, Meredith Berkowitz, Bridgehampton Civic Association. Pamela's already sort of expressed some of our concerns. I just wanted to address, first of all, I want to thank Kara and Curtis because I can tell they're both very passionate about this, as are many of the board members. And I don't think anyone's, from even the speakers that were there today, are objecting to this amendment or change. It just feels very rushed and perhaps not completely thought through because this is a comprehensive change to the zoning. And there are sort of, you have to think forward maybe like 10 years, how is this going to get abused or possibly can get abused before you put it through and make it law? And I just don't hear that that's really being thought through. What I hear is that there's an urgent need to get these four projects passed through because they have issues with zoning and or variances that are needed. But it doesn't solve, the reasons being given are for workforce housing and to create more workforce housing. But these projects won't necessarily create local workforce housing. As we've just heard from Curtis and we hear from Cindy, these projects can be open to anyone. You can have teachers up island in Smithtown or in Huntington buying homes in these affordable workforce housing projects and not working here. And what that will do is increase our local traffic. That's going, because of the high density nature of these projects, that's actually going to increase traffic, not alleviate it. And I recognize we can't build around it, but we want to be careful that we're not making it 10 times worse. And I think the other thing we talked about is that as long as the municipality doesn't infringe, you can't make a local preference. I actually, between the November 25th hearing and this, I did a little research on this. And you actually can make a preference for local as long as you knew that your constituency within that municipality or that hamlet is not discriminatory, that there is a broad sector, that you're not trying to eliminate any particular protected class. And I would think that that data should be available from general census data. So I'm a little confused when we say we don't have those studies and we don't have that available. And so I just think that that's another consideration. And then there's no doubt that there are some very big advantages to this project. And when it says it gets you, more input and more involvement, I get that. And I think that's a very good thing. But it also has to, if this is meant to provide workforce housing for our local community.
30 seconds.
And you're using the CHF funds to help the quid pro quo for the developers who may not like this, that now there's more community input. Well, that they're getting funds, they're getting partially funded, they're getting benefits for this, they're getting a fast track. And that's sort of the quid pro quo. But we have to remember what the intent and purpose behind this is. And again, I just ask that you adjourn this to allow a little more thought, a little more input as the process winds its way through, rather than rushing to a resolution. Thank you.
Thank you, Meredith.
I have a question for Kara. On the average, when you have the lottery, most of the people come from where? Because you have told me this.
Yeah, we found in the past that the majority of people.
From Smithtown.
Have either lived in this community or had to move out of the community because they had grown up here and they wanted to stay here but couldn't afford to stay here and always wanted to come back, or they work in the community. We have not found, and Curtis can attest to this with his projects, we have not found that people come from outside of the community to live here unless they work here, unless they grew up here, or unless they currently live here. It just doesn't happen. It's just, one of those things that we get that complaint all the time, and it just doesn't happen,
Thank you for doing that. How about-
The actual percentage
Yes, you were my next question.
is single digit. That individuals that go west of Riverhead is single digit. It doesn't happen. And we ask these questions. For those that we have we took applications for Sandy Hollow, for Spionk, for Hampton Bays. We did have 2 homes that we did in Hampton Bays. And we asked the individuals that were outside of the east of Riverhead and said, well, why did you come here? And those were the reasons. Well, we lived here. I work at the school. I work for the bank over in Watermill, and we wanted to move closer. I haven't come across anyone who had no relationship, somehow either by friend being here in the past, growing up here, working here. I've not come up with that applicant who's moved in the East End just to be in the Hamptons. People won't move to Southampton to work in Smithtown just to commute back and forth from Smithtown to Southampton. It just doesn't happen.
You don't know any of that till after they won the lottery.
So just also, it's important to note, I think, that all of these homes have to be the primary residence of anybody who wins the lottery and has the opportunity to live in them. It cannot be a vacation home or summer home. They can't rent it out. And we check, my office does an annual check each year to make sure that the people who are residing in the homes, that it is their primary residence. So like Curtis said, I don't think that somebody is going to be living in the town of Southampton unless they grew up here and wanted to stay here for a family, as you mentioned, Bill, or, there is some other real reason, and then commute to Smithtown, over, an hour and 10 minutes to get to Smithtown, so, each day. So I think, you can be assured that these homes are for, the people that have lived here.
Thank you for clarifying that.
Kevin, is there still a third person that wants to speak?
No one else on Zoom.
All right, well, I don't have any other cards on this either. I want to say that I have a concern about the 55. It's not defined in this code section, and we can put a definition in here. And I feel as though if you don't define it and we revert to the 55 years of age for senior housing that's elsewhere in the code, that you're going to undercut the population that the law is meant to serve, because there's a provision in here that it says if it's strictly senior housing, then there's no income qualification, and senior housing is not defined. And I think if we open up eligibility to 55 and over, it's going to disadvantage the older applicants that the program's intended to help. And I'd like us to prioritize older citizens so that we're not letting someone who's 55 take the place in housing of somebody who's, for example, 70 or 75. And so in my view, the simplest and most responsible approach would be to start with 62. And in practice, and if we find the units are not filling up, we could always revisit and adjust the code. Because, Medicare, you have to be 65 full social security, 67. And even HUD housing definition is, senior housing is 62. So that's my position on this. When it comes to the resolution, I'm gonna ask.
And I agree with the supervisor. I'm fine with everything. If we could change that to 62, I'm full support.
So the reason why I did not, as a sponsor, change that is, as was stated, all of these projects will still go through a full review, and they will still have covenants set on them. And by project, if you decide that you want to do the senior housing as 62, on a project-by-project basis, you can make it 62 if there's an area where we might see there's a need for, people to age in place at younger age. You can do that as well. When this code was originally drafted by Janice, and I got the original version, there were no income limits set in this resolution. It was all going to be done by covenants on a project-by-project basis. The housing director set the workforce housing limits at 60% to 130% AMI, which I didn't really want in the code, but it's there, and I know that it's been an issue going forward with other projects that, everyone wanted higher income limits, so I let that go in, that it's 60 to 130. I would prefer that it not be there, but I'd prefer we do it on a case-by-case basis or a project-by-project basis through covenants, which we can do with the senior. So I didn't change it, only because, I look at myself and I look at real-life scenarios, and that being I have friends whose parents are older, and some of these people that live here, their only shot at getting a house here is if their parents can move out. And some of them, they're down to just their mom or just their dad. And if at 56, 57, they can get into a senior housing location, that allows their house to be used for their kids. So there's so many different scenarios in play. I really don't want to limit it in the legislation when it can easily be done on a case-by-case basis as these projects come before the board.
Well, just to clarify, the income restrictions apply to everyone except for the senior housing and disabled housing. And as Kara told us, that when the community voted for the community housing fund, it was for workforce housing, which is defined as 60 to 80%. Now, if you don't want to go up to 130, I could see that, because that's pretty high, 130.
Right now,
I don't know why we don't cap it at 100.
Right now, the income limits as set by the housing director of 60 to 130% AMI is, I'm going by single person, obviously these go up the more people you add, but that AMI basis is anybody making between $69,300 to $150,000, which D's out a lot of our town employees. So that's why I didn't want to put that in the law and restrict it in the law. I wanted to do it on a case-by-case basis. Maybe rentals would be a higher AMI, but home ownership we could allow. I would have liked to have looked at it a case-by-case basis. That's not what this board chose to do, so it got changed.
So if I could respond to that. First of all, I don't set anything. I make my recommendations to you, the town board. You, as the town board, set what's in the law. I made that recommendation to you because when the CHF advisory board, when the CHF law was passed, the community wanted it for workforce housing. HUD defines workforce housing as anything between 60 and 80% of the area median income. 50% of the area median income in HUD is defined as low income, or very low income. 30% of the AMI is defined as HUD standards as extremely low income. So because the community voted for workforce housing, that is why within this law, it states between 60 and 80% AMI. And you have charged me as the Director of Housing with managing the CHF fund.
Bless you.
And I make sure that the law is followed, and I also make sure that you follow what the community has asked for. And the community asked for workforce housing. And that is why I made that recommendation to you all, that it be between 60 and 130, because we go higher. in ours. Additionally, I think it would be hard if any developer builds under that to sustain themselves. Because when you go under that 60% area median income, you have to charge less rent. And that less rent, because these are smaller developments capped at 35 units, it's really hard almost impossible for a developer to be able to sustain themselves at a much lower AMI.
So, Kara, if we are making adjustments based on the average income for Southampton, by bumping up the top bracket to 130% AMI, why we're not reducing the bottom bracket because we feel that the average in Southampton there's inflation? Are we accounting for all of that? I mean, what specifically is it that, because we're making adjustments on the top end, but we're not going to make an adjustment on the bottom end because of just the viability of the developer?
Correct, because once you go under that 60% AMI, the way HUD lays out the AMIs, it's in 10% increments. 30%, 40%, 50%, 60%. So once you go below that 60%, now you're at what HUD deems very low income. HUD determines that workforce housing is between 60 and 80%. If you're in that 50% AMI that they consider a very low income, now you get into people who can receive housing subsidies and things like that.
Now for those that are below the 60% AMI, we do have programs through the Housing Choice Voucher Program, correct? That would accommodate some of those individuals.
Yes, and you also approved a project in Quiog that has 70% of the units at very low to extremely low income, 50% and 30%.
But what about the top end here? I mean, I feel as though $150,000 for one person's income might be a little high for someone to be getting community, workforce housing. I don't know.
Well, in some cases, if we are building single-family homes, you almost need that 130% income to be able to afford a single-family home. So that's why we brought in that range. If you have somebody who, because rents are so high out here, it's very difficult for people to save for a down payment. So if you have somebody that's coming in and who's only putting in the minimum down, 5% down, and they have to be able to sustain a 95% mortgage payment on that property, they're going to need to maybe reach that top end of 130%.
So I just want to point out that when we had this on the ballot for Community Housing Fund, the Community Housing Fund Act, and it specified workforce, there were no percentages in there. There were no dollar amounts, and to me, I personally find it offensive that you would tell most of our town laborers that they're not considered part of the workforce unless they get a second job.
Well, that's like
I
the very
see them as
entry level,
workforce.
I think, for some of the people, and, then they have their steps every year, and we're working to finalize a contract
I'm
to
not saying,
increase the
I'm not saying they
salaries.
don't, but I'm just saying, I think if you ask them, they would tell you they were part of the workforce. And I think they would feel like they should be part of the pie here when we look at these things. And the whole point of this, right, is this is a range of incomes for these projects. And it's not saying that everybody that comes in is gonna be in that 60% or even 55% or wherever they are. You're gonna have a range of people from 130 down to 60. So you're talking about a whole host of different rents and different people, because we can't discriminate based on where you're at. But my point is, when you look at HUD's definition, and that's a federal definition of workforce, it's basically, it's saying, when you read the actual intent of it, is those that do not qualify for government subsidies, which is 50% and under, that could use assistance because they don't make enough to pay market rate. So you're missing a whole group of people to me that make between that 50% and 60% AMI that are part of the workforce, and they're a very important part of our workforce. And this is why I wanted to have this discussion on a project-by-project basis, because I feel like maybe certain projects, the way they're being built and marketed, can go towards these higher income levels when they're home ownership. But if you have rentals and you have people that want to stay here and save up money to potentially buy something, they might need a lower rent to start out. So this is, again, the AMI, as well as the age for senior housing, wasn't included in the original draft of this law because we wanted to look at it on a project-by-project basis, based on location, based on the need of the community, and specify it in that process when it goes through this whole process. This is not the process, this is the starting point. And then you have the whole process laid out by which it has to get through this process, and during that time, I wanted to look at each project holistically and say, what can this community absorb, what do they need? And that's when you set your age limits, your income limits. Hampton Bays already has a lot of 62 and over housing in it. I don't know that we're looking to do senior housing there. The Easterner, it's...
And Hampton Bays
So,
Apartments.
but I just want to point out that it is household income. So it's whoever are the members of the household living in the household is what, so we're not always looking at a single income here.
Right, so the
but-
one that was the 60%, if it's two people, I think it's like 76,000 or 78,000.
It goes up. And it's just, it's what the community voted in. They voted workforce housing. You have asked me to manage this fund for you. I manage a fund and try to, work with what the community wants. The community voted in workforce housing, housing for the workforce. And that is defined as between 60 and 80% of the area median income.
And then you have the Long Island Workforce Housing Act, which is up to 130% AMI with no bottom limit set. So it's...
But when you have the Long Island Workforce Housing Act, and that's when somebody has to come in, and if they're building 5 or more units, 10% of those units have to be affordable. Don't forget that they have to be able to qualify to sustain the payments, the mortgage payments, or the rent payments, or whatever it may be. So those people, the majority of those people under that 60% AMI can't afford it.
So what I'm getting at is, I'm okay with this as a starting point. I think it's something that we're gonna have to look at going forward. Potentially, if we see that we want to do different projects for different income levels. But I'm willing to concede on this point and move forward with this as it is.
Just an FYI, the Habitat homes were 60% AMI and under. So we got home ownership at that level, but with a whole lot of assistance. So that bottom line, that low AMI, is necessary. It's not just for individuals that are on subsidy or some type of subsidy program. We're still trying to also take care of those individuals who we can still get homes for under maybe a Habitat program and still be able to give them affordability. I want to just defend for the senior. I can't divulge individuals that participate on the program, but just to let you know that we have individuals between 55 and 60 who currently work. A few actually work for the town. So we do have individuals in that AMI that are at that 55 year and between 55 and 60 that would qualify if we would allow us to have the senior exemption, allowing us to go under the 60% requirement. That's helping our community, but it's also helping our town employees as well.
Okay, well, what do the sponsors want to do? Do you want to close the public hearing or hold it over to the next meeting?
I'd like to close it.
Is that what you all want to do? Close it? All right, I move to close the public hearing.
Second.
Should we leave it open for
No, it's on for, there's a resolution on today.
all in favor? Well, that we could do it at the resolution. if we're gonna change. So, did you second it? All in favor?
Aye.
So our highway superintendent is here and for a couple of public hearings. Thanks, everyone. And his time is valuable, so I'd move to take the two public hearings out of order, the 5th and the 6th public hearings.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, Madam Clerk, would you please read the notice for the 5th public hearing and the 6th? Should we do them together? Would that make sense? All right, the 5th and 6th public hearings. Thank you.
Public hearing number 5, to amend Chapter 312, Vehicles and Traffic for the purpose of removing 3 yield intersections in Hampton Bays south of Montauk Highway.
And number 6. Oh.
Read them together?
Together, right?
Together. Public hearing number 6, to amend Town Code, Chapter 312, Vehicles and Traffic, to add 3 new stop signs in Hampton Bays south of Montauk Highway.
Ooh, and then
All right, thank you.
Come on up, Charles.
Superintendent McCardle.
Charlie McCardle, Highway Superintendent. Thanks for having me. Quite the afternoon here. Very exciting stuff. Supporting, and I hope you do too. We had 3, I believe, yield signs that, as you know, traffic has increased tremendously in Hampton Bays, and we're looking to move them to actual stop signs for the safety of the people in the community. I believe you have to, if no one else is commenting, you'd have to close them, I guess, individually.
Yeah,
any
so you're
questions?
these are 3 yield signs in various locations, and you want to take them down and
Do you wanna
replace
tell
them
us
with stop
where?
signs.
So I believe that
We need to
they
know
are
where.
on the little cul-de-sacs off of Lynn Avenue. I'm not sure which, AJ Court.
2 on Fordham, 1 on Lincliff. Yeah.
Actually, I drove by them with Mark.
Again, they are outdated as yield signs as the traffic and the population has increased, so we'd like to move them to stop signs. Any other questions?
Stop sign like in Hampton Bays.
We added one in East Quogue. It's coming. Any other questions?
Any other questions for Superintendent? No, thank you. Hang on, no, don't
Support as
leave.
always.
I don't have a card on this, but would anybody like to speak? No? Anyone on Zoom, Kevin? For the
On Zoom.
5th and 6th public hearings?
You never know.
No one on Zoom.
we got one more.
There's no one on Zoom,
Never mind.
did he say?
Yeah, there's no one on Zoom.
Okay, thanks. All right, so.
Thank you, Charlie.
So I make a motion to close public hearing number 5.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. And I move to close public hearing number 6.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, let's go back to number 3. Madam Clerk, would you please read the notice for the 3rd public hearing?
Public hearing number 3, to demolish the old public safety building located at the Jackson Avenue complex in Hampton Bays.
Good afternoon, members of the town board. Tom Horton, town engineer. We are proposing to demolish the old public safety building previously known as the fire marshal's office. Before that, it was the nutrition center. This building is ready to be demolished. We've had a capital project for 4 or 5 years now to knock this building down. We finally have our momentum. We've abandoned the sanitary system. We have decommissioned the HVAC systems. We've removed the Freon and refrigerant from all of them. The building has been vacated of all essential items, and we are taking this down in preparation for our future at Jackson Avenue. We're also taking it off the insurance books too, so.
And you actually found the deed to the property.
We were able to source the deed from Suffolk County, yes,
That was the holdup.
with Sunday's help.
Happy to,
Yes.
Thank you.
We had it down before, but no one could find the deed.
Yeah, so we found the deed to our own property, so we got that, and we're looking to knock this thing down. We went out to bid, we have a contractor lined up, and this is one of the last hurdles.
When is the date?
We don't have a date because we can't schedule it until this is
Okay.
closed. So we'd like to do it next week or so. Am I
Okay.
missing it? Oh, sorry, everybody's looking at you.
Oh, excuse me, I can administratively sign the demolition plans, but first you have to have a public hearing.
Yeah,
Okay.
so we have to get this out of the way before
Yeah,
we can
okay.
tell the contractor to
Because
go.
you need a public hearing to sell or demolish a
So I
publicly
imagine you-
owned building.
I imagine you get your permit tomorrow.
If we vote for it.
Yes.
We've waited this long, we're in no rush. So
Thank you, Tom.
we expect to have the building down. The contractor's optimistic that it's going to take them 2 days. We plan on having them recycle all the steel, separate out as much of the material as we can, and we're looking to be in and out. There will be a slight impact on town vehicles that are parked at that site. We'll relocate them over to Red Creek Park for a couple of days, and then we'll restore the area once it's been demolished.
Did you say you evaluated the asbestos situation, and was there any?
It was negative, I believe.
Okay.
There's no requirement for abatement. I think the building was in the 80s sometime, which is typically after the scary asbestos period. So, yeah, we had it inspected.
Good. All right.
Thank you,
Well, let's see. Kevin, is there anyone on Zoom for this third public hearing?
No one on
Oh,
Zoom.
you did. I'm sorry. Thank you. Here it is. Come on up, Gail. Thanks, Tom.
I get my money's worth if I'm going
Yes,
to
you
drag
do.
Neil
You're
down.
gonna
Yeah,
come
just
and
what
get your
I'm
money's
telling
worth.
you. So I had called, Ryan on this weeks ago before it was on this agenda, because at first I thought, oh my God, you're actually taking down the senior center. And of course, he straightened me out. But again, it's my understanding that this is a preamble to now the renovations that you're considering. You know, again, the site is off Old Riverhead Road, which is now a bypass to Montauk Highway during rush hour. It's the main road for 2 new housing projects, including the 2 affordable ones Mr. Highsmith spoke of, and you have the other one on the same side as that. You have the new, you'll have the new Red Creek Park with all the improvements. You have the new animal shelter, and God forbid, we might even have the potential approach to Westwoods. So I know this is a preamble, of course, it's supported, everybody needs to be taken down, but going to the next steps, you have to be cognizant of all that, and it's a very busy location, and honestly, I think there's a delay in that, the bicycle path, and praise the Lord there is, because that bicycle path is a hazard waiting to happen. So I think there's a delay because of the overpass. Your bicycle path is on that route also. You're going to have a lot more traffic, and the turn to get from one side to the other is very dangerous. Lastly, since I have an extra minute, I just want to rebut some of the things that said at last public hearing. My concerns is not the age limit providing affordable housing.
Excuse me, Gail, this.
I know, I
this-
just wanna-
wait, Just wait, this is only a public hearing to tear down a building.
I know, so-
But if you want to talk about the last hearing, you'd have to wait till public.
Okay, I'll wait
portion.
for public portion.
Yeah.
I'll come back.
We just want to, all we do want to tear this building down
Okay.
for years.
Tear it down, but I saw in the paper you're considering the renovation, so.
It
I
might
just
sit
want-
vacant for
Oh, I hope-
20 years.
Oh, that would be sad too. All right, thank you for your time.
But also, you know, the changes that we're considering are to just rebuild buildings that are already there, like the Justice Court and the Police Department, not to add. And the other people that we would move over are in other buildings in Hampton Bays already. So for the most part, you know, and for the initial phases of the project, that's what it's anticipated. So that's
Okay,
it, I
so
guess.
here,
I
in
don't
case
think
there's any
anyone
more
else.
questions.
Kevin, you said no one's on Zoom? No. Does anybody else have any questions for Tom?
Now, when this did first came out, we did cover it at the civic meeting. That question was asked, you know, everybody was afraid we were demoing part of the senior center.
Oh, no.
But, yeah.
We just bought that one.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, well then, if there's no other questions for Tom or comments, then I move to close this third public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, madam, thank you, Tom.
Thank
very
you,
much.
thank you, Janice, for helping us out with everything, so.
Yeah.
Hurry up before we change our mind.
Yeah.
Madam Clerk, would you please read the notice for the fourth public hearing?
Public hearing number 4, to amend Town Code, Chapter 123, Building and Construction, Article 2, Building Code Administration, Sections 123-10, Issuance of Building Permit, and 123-11, Effective Period of Building Permit.
Good afternoon, Supervisor, members of the Town Board, Christine Preston Scalera, Deputy Town Attorney. On behalf of Councilman Iacilli, what you have before you is a local law which seeks to amend Town Code Chapter 123 Buildings and Construction, Article 2, Building Code Administration, Sections 123-10 and 11. As you may recall, you had a couple of work sessions on the initial version of this amendment, wherein this is the ultimate language that we came up with. The legislative intent in terms of that, the purpose of these amendments is to address some of the construction sprawl, if you will, that takes place in some of our neighborhoods from time to time as a result of larger unmanaged construction work sites. These amendments are being sought to balance the needs of those in the construction trades while providing some relief to residents who have long been asking for assistance when it comes to noise and traffic conditions in and around their neighborhood streets. As it relates to Section 12310, this amendment adds to subsection C. The addition provides that depending on such things as the size of the site, the extent of the job, the amount of people expected to be on the site, and the duration of the project, that the chief building inspector will now be allowed to require on-site parking. This newly created on-site parking requirement in certain circumstances will assist in removing chaotic traffic conditions in the streets and promote orderly, managed sites where appropriate. As it relates to Section 12311, the amendment proposes adding a new subsection D, which restricts construction from occurring on federally recognized holidays and before the hours of 9 a.m. and after the hour of 5 p.m. on Sundays. If anyone has any questions, I'm happy to take them, as is the Chief Building Inspector, Sean McDermott, who is here as well.
Thank you, and thank you for your work, Christine, on this. That was a great introduction, and Sean, I really appreciate your partnership on this. I know the original iteration of this bill was a bit more far-reaching than this one, but this is I think it provides a nice balance. Do you have any comments that? I guess one of the things that I wanted to know is the parking specifically. How do you feel that this will benefit people who may raise concerns that there's construction vehicles that are clogging up some of the neighborhood roads?
Well, a lot of our permits are issued in residential neighborhoods, and some of them, they're on smaller lots, but they're bigger houses, so they require more contractors, and these residential neighborhoods are impacted. People have a hard time getting to their houses. And the main thing also is, it impedes emergency vehicles, ambulance, fire trucks, whatever may be needed. So we're going to have to deal with this on a case-by-case basis because each job is different. And it's going to be interesting, but it is much needed.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you for your work on this. And Christine, would you, just to reiterate, this is reducing currently the code of allowable construction noise on Sundays and federal holidays. It's I believe by 2 hours. Is that correct?
1 hour later and 1 hour earlier, I think on both ends, is it? From 9, it goes for, instead of 8 to.
Sundays were actually, sorry, federal holidays we're restricting
Restricting,
completely.
that's
Right,
new.
but then Sundays I thought we were reducing.
9 to 5.
Which is currently,
And right now, it's 8 to 6.
Now it's 8 to 6.
Yeah,
6,
so it's one
2 hours.
off the top and one off the bottom.
okay, perfect. Thank you for that.
Does anybody have any questions?
Yeah, how do you enforce that? Who's going to enforce that?
With the working,
The Sunday working after 5 o'clock?
Sunday working, well, in the summer months, code enforcement is working, and then we deal with complaints. We get a complaint, we don't work on weekends, in the building department. So we have to rely on.
And
Code
Well, couldn't
enforcement
somebody
is
call the
trained
police?
with the noise. It'll be the same way with noise decibels that we use throughout the town. So code enforcement would come in, they're trained on those machines, as is now police department. I mean, you would hope that they wouldn't use it for the police department, that code could come, because it's kind of a lot for their resources, but they are trained if they have to.
But just question, because this isn't in the noise code, so it's not part of the decibel readings, right? This is just.
It's always
you
part of the
can't work.
decibel. You can't work at all, but you would, use reason when you got there. I'm assuming you would tell someone to stop and.
And maybe I don't know if this is for Christina or Sean, but there is also exemptions, correct? There is an exemption here for.
For working on
It says
weekends?
it doesn't
Yeah.
include that.
Homeowners,
Right, okay.
Right, homeowners or emergency situations.
yes.
It says specifically at the end of D, work subject to this prohibition is not meant to include the performance of necessary emergency repairs, obviously, nor work associated with cleanups after major storms when the supervisor has declared a state of emergency. So there are those exceptions, and that mirrored a lot of the comments that the board brought up about other municipalities and what they did.
Yes. I'd like to motion to close.
Hang on a second, let me just make sure there's no one on Zoom. Did
Okay,
I
sorry.
don't know if I already asked that, but Kevin, is there anyone on Zoom? For this fourth public hearing?
I have one hand up.
Okay.
Hi, everyone, again. Meredith Berkowitz, Bridgehampton Civic Association. I just had two questions. I just wanted to clarify, because I haven't seen the revisions made since the last time this was discussed. The exemption, also last time, besides the emergency repairs and the cleanups, I think you were talking about do-it-yourself projects, like if you are fixing your own deck on a Sunday afternoon or evening, is that subject to this? And the second sort of comment was on complaints and enforcement. And I know we just talked about, it was just talked about that code enforcement would do that, but if they're not working on the weekends and someone's working after hours, how do you document that? Because it's my understanding with code enforcement that they need to actually see it in action before they can issue a summons, that just having a complaint and being able to, how do you prove that someone was acting in violation if there's not people on duty at those times, on the holidays or on the weekends after 5 o'clock?
Well, that would be a code violation, and the police could respond if code enforcement is not during their hours of work.
So it would be,
During the
we should tell residents to call police, that would be the right method?
Well,
fact,
there's
they
a
had to do that,
non-emergency
yeah.
number for the
Yeah.
police.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
And, you know, as we get into the warmer months, code is working on the weekends, so it also
Okay.
lends itself to that.
And what was the other question was about,
Do-it-yourself projects?
yeah,
Right,
homeowners.
it's not meant to do that, and obviously, if there is emergency repairs that need to be done and a homeowner's out there, you know, ripping up his deck or having somebody come and do that for them because it's an emergency, that's an emergency, and that's not meant to be covered by this.
Well, I was
Those
actually thinking like an
extended projects,
anonymous.
The intent is to
Yeah.
get those
Large-scale
large-scale, extended projects, and get some of that traffic off the street into spots within the site itself, and kind of forces the construction site to be managed properly so that they can time subcontractors getting there and how many people they need, and maybe stagger the days as opposed to having everybody show up at once. So those are the kinds of circumstances.
But it's not intended to pick up someone who's like out in their back working on their deck, maybe sanding it
No.
at like
Correct.
6 o'clock.
No.
Correct.
No.
Okay,
And I just want to
perfect.
reiterate for the public that this was really in response to constituents who reached out about excessive construction noise. You know, specifically, people felt as if construction was happening during times where they expected, you know, the workers to be packing up, going home. So we looked at it. We've tried to figure out where in the code we can make that adjustment for folks to enjoy the peaceful tranquility of the town. You know, we've often heard from residents in Hampton Bays as well about noise and overdevelopment. So this is really a way to get at some of those concerns in a very reasonable fashion. So
Appreciate that, thank you. I think that's a big concern among many, many residents, so thank you.
Okay, thank you.
We have one more person on Zoom.
So I did ask, because I know this discrepancy has come up before with building permits and active building permits on sites, and I just asked Ryan Murphy about their enforcement of this on holidays and Sundays, and he basically stated that the way it stands right now, the building inspectors would be the one enforcing on anything with an active building permit, not code enforcement.
We'll address that. We'll meet internally and address those
We'll
issues.
address that, you know, it's, you know.
Just
we
saying, he
also-
wasn't asked about the enforcement on holidays and Sundays, so.
you know,
We'll address those
We also have
issues.
the SOS program in place. They can lodge a complaint in there.
perfect. I'd like to make a motion to close.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, Madam Clerk, would you please read the notice for the 7th and final public hearing?
Public hearing number 7 for a local law to enact a new Article 5, or 6B, entitled Hotel Development Overlay within Chapter 330 zoning of the Town Code and add sections 34.5 through 34.10 to enable the discretionary review of small-scale tourist accommodations in highway business zoning districts.
Hello again, Janice Shear, Town Planning and Development Administrator. This is again another floating zone category. So you're not necessarily landing it anywhere. What we're doing is putting tools in your toolbox so you have them when you need them. The difference between having this versus just redoing the special exception standards is that you have more discretion when you do it this way, and you can elect to not even consider it if you don't like it, just like within the other floating zone district. So floating zone districts are changes of zone that are discretionary versus if you just created special exception standards and it goes to a confirmatory board like the planning board who decides whether or not they meet those standards. This has a lot more discretion in your toolbox. So it just creates, again, this category. It lives in potentia, meaning it hasn't been landed anywhere. It does float down by your action of enabling it. It is a type of zone change. So you land it when you want to. This hotel overlay will really just enable a smaller scale tourist accommodations, which are anywhere from, say, 12 units to the maximum of 65. Non-kitchenette, they can't be lived in, they can't be converted to any type of apartment, long-term stay, hostel, those are not what we're talking about. We're talking about small-scale tourist hotel. You know, that we've been hearing the terms boutique hotel for years, but they're really larger brands, let's call them, like a Hilton or whatever, have come to realize that they can also come into communities when they're able to be iconic for that community, meaning like they're not going to force their own franchise architecture everywhere. And so they're willing to sponsor different, or you have, like we had with the Bordy Barn, that was one of them that precipitated this, but they're not the only one that could avail themselves. But that they could come and do a local employer-owned type of hotel development. That's not, necessarily overly expensive. We have some small ones like the Topping Rose. None of us can afford to stay there. It's gorgeous, but you might have one. We're talking about like middle of the road type of hotel developments that are still beautiful but small and fitting into the context of the community. And all of the typical accessory, they're allowed to have like a continental breakfast. And, when you go to a hotel, all the things that you would expect. So they could have a pool, an outdoor area. They can have, the lounge or dining associated, a spa, office space, laundry service, the typical things you would see. The difference here is that you would then someone would make an application to you. They show you their plans, and you have 100% discretion to say, I want to entertain this. They move forward to a formal application, and then you say, okay, and then we get into the nitty-gritty, and when you go to apply that zone. So hopefully that's clear. I'm happy to go through any of the specific standards. We did go over this in work session, so I'm here if you have any questions.
So the reason for just not allowing hotels in those particular zones is that this feature or this program that, this overlay allows the board to consider the amount of existing hotel accommodations.
Yeah, it's still, it's in highway business, so no matter what, you're still talking about commercial zones. It's not allowed in like a residential zone or anything like that. We didn't even really get into RWB or anything in those lines. It's just highway business, The comp plan says we should locate more tourist accommodations in the highway business, small scale. This allows you to do it more discretionary than if you were to just say, let's just do it as a special exception. Because that has, it just opens up a lot more potential. This is much less ability for people to do it, but still fairly kind of distributed. We always have to, when we enact these things, there has to be an equal playing field to some extent. Like we try to say, okay, well, there's enough there that can be on the east or west. We're not saying we're going to saturate these areas. We're not saying we're going to put them, hundreds of them anywhere. We're just saying you have enough areas that qualify so that it's equal opportunity, a level playing field. And then it comes to you as a zone change type of application. The applying of a floating zone is a type of zoning amendment that you make to say, yes, we want to establish this hotel here. We will look at what we have, we'll decide what we need, the community will weigh in, all the usual things. Do secret at the time.
So I have a question on the size. So we can do 16 to 65 units, 2-acre minimum. You can put a spa in there, you can put a lounge in there, you can do several other things. Is there a limit to the square footage of the building that can go on 2 acres? And what happens if you have 4 acres? Are you're still limited to 65? Does that mean your accessory uses on it can grow?
Correct. Well, I guess so, but you always have to meet the coverage of the HB district, so that's your limiting factor. You have to meet the parking, that's another limiting factor. Transition yards, so I think we've talked about this in the past, like, you start here with a lot, and it's like, wow, you have buffers and side yards, and you get to here, and then say, well, we have parking, and then we have, so you keep getting limited and limited, and it is limited to 65. Doesn't matter if you have 10 acres, that's all, and that's all you would get.
But what about on 2 acres? Like if are you really, because the amenities are what a lot of people, I know with Civic, were curious about. They wanted to have a place to go in the wintertime for breakfast, to go for a drink at night and all that.
Yeah.
So if it's 65 units on 2 acres, that seems very tight. So the amenities wouldn't really be that great. But how big is that, how big can that building be?
It's a limit of coverage, so I guess I'd have to do that calculation. Don't make me do math here on the spot, but you're basically limited by coverage and parking. So we're not, unless you want to put a specific cap, we did not, but you can. But that would be case by case. So you'd say, this looks too big for this, we want to have more area. It also really requires you to look at where it is and the context of the lot. And it's like, oh, there's this gorgeous grove of trees, we're not gonna demolish it and put a giant building here. We're gonna make that the amenity with the fire pit and the things for people to come to. So it's more about making it an amenity out of what you have, and it's hard to do that across the board, across the whole town. We have to see what's in highway business that makes sense. So it doesn't limit you, but you could put the limit in if you want to.
I have a question. Someone asked me this. No cooking facilities?
Correct.
Does that include a microwave?
I think there's usually, most hotels have the little fridge, a microwave, and the coffee pot. That's pretty much what you'd be limited to.
And also, they asked me if the county or the state comes in, and if there's a covenant where people cannot live there for so long, the state cannot put people in there.
Yes, there's a covenant provision in here for anyone. It doesn't matter. And then
Limiting it to what, how many days?
30 days.
30 days.
Yeah.
Is there something in here that talks about the amenities that are allowed?
So it says, it says no guest shall establish residence for more than 30 consecutive days within any calendar year, not have kitchens and cooking facilities, not used as apartments or other single-room occupancy residential dwelling at any time. An enforceable covenant will be required. So that's under L. And then, I'm sorry, what was the other one?
I was just looking for that section that indicates the amenities that are allowed.
Oh, sure. That's in D of 34.5. So on page 3, permitted accessory uses, continental breakfast, bar, lounge, and dining, gift shop enclosed within the building, spa service, personal fitness room, pool and recreational area and related storage, because we found out through doing this for many years, they always need some kind of shed thing to put the cushions or whatever that are related to the pool. You're just gonna need that. Office space, front desk, and conference rooms, those are typical for a hotel. Laundry service, storage and housekeeping, and then a area for food prep, for that type, kitchen service type of thing, order room service.
Janice, could you, I know one of the central discussions that we had surrounding this resolution was around the current process and comparing the current process if people were to seek approval for this kind of hotel development opportunity, looking at it, what this particular overlay would do that would be different, and it's kind of like what we're looking to do with AHOT, it seems. But can you more specifically talk to what the current process is?
Sure. So currently, it goes, you would request a hotel or motel or, some type of accommodation through the planning board. You can only get 4 rooms per, 1 room per 11,000 square feet, 4 rooms per acre. So it doesn't even make any sense. And so that's that process. We thought about, let's change this and make it this, that, and the other thing, but then that still needs to be corrected somewhere along the line. But this is such a better way of doing it because it keeps the control in your hands. You are accountable, as you've said many times, you're accountable to the voter and their communities. You have all the discretion to say, no, we're not even entertaining that right now. We just, versus the planning board has no ability to say, you can't make an application right now. They just can't. It's your First Amendment right to make an application to the board.
But the planning board, and I'm just trying to hash all this out.
Sure.
The planning board does have the, resources to kind of go through all the different, so do we. But the planning board's central function is to really kind of go through all the different studies, all the different plans that the town has to kind of pair that up with the application that's before them to make an educated decision. Correct? I mean,
You really do that when it comes to long-term plans. So your long-term planning side comes to you, this board, and we deal with the comp plan and the implementation and the different things that you do legislatively. And zoning amendments come to you, and that's what this is ultimately. It's the landing of a zone to allow a hotel that everybody wants to have. If you didn't, you wouldn't do it. You wouldn't even entertain it.
Sure.
Versus the planning board, versus the planning board, where if you just change the standards or whatever you want to do with the standards, every single person who owns a piece has the absolute right to make an application to them, and they can't say, we're not talking about this now. We have to take it to the full end of the line to make a decision on what they've given us. So it's very different. That's a confirmatory board. This is a discretionary.
Has the
the very
planning board,
difference.
has the planning board weighed in on this?
Not yet. I'm going to be on their agenda on Thursday. But they didn't, they like to have that authority too, but there's nothing that's being taken away from them. You're saying this is appropriate to land this district, and then they go through the site plan. But you are also saying it's going to be this many rooms, it's going to be how it is. It's very similar to other things that they're familiar with that we've done over the years. So it's nothing they've never seen before.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I'll do one card, Gail Lombardi. Make it worth the trip, huh?
And I play devil's advocate here because I feel like no one else does. It's all like a big love fest, and all this is great, and all this discretion. I hear discretion and spot and, location by location, and I think like abusive discretion, back office deals, and nobody knows what they're doing. Like, it is not a process that works. It goes for the housing, that goes for this. The headlines in Newsday stated, Southampton eases rules to convert Bordy Barn into boutique motel, basically calling you guys out on illegal spot zoning. Like, oh, we're putting in the zoning because the Bordy Barn wants to put a boutique motel on it. So I am not, I think these things need to be vetted with the community before you adopt them, not after you adopt them, that's too late. discuss the different aspects of it, let the community understand, so I'm not coming to these meetings. And I would be a hypocrite if I supported this, because again, I go back to, we don't have a good environmental understanding of what each community could absorb. We don't. And I would love to see the motel in Hampton Bays, but I also know the downside. I've seen the problems with Tiana Pines. I've seen the problems with the Bel Air. I've seen the problems now with the one that Mr. Highsmith is taking over. So we know what the downside is of what happens to motels in Hampton Bays. I believe that it's a good idea, but, good ideas come and go. So I think, especially for Hampton Bays, I think different than this overlay district, separate and distinct, I think the town needs to now, this is a perfect juncture with a 2-year plan for a potential sewer treatment plant, is to relook at the corridor study. I think there should be a moratorium on any development along the Montauk Highway corridor, and you have a 2-year window now to look at what should be on the Montauk Highway corridor. Should there be a hotel there? Should there be, designation for a couple of spots for hotels? I don't want to speak to other areas, but I agree with the people in Bridgehampton. The community fund and these need to be vetted better with the community. The concepts are great. They need to be asking the questions to Janice and Kara and all the other people directly so that they could be comfortable. Nobody's at these meetings. You know what I mean? It's Christmas. So I'm hoping that you'll put some of this aside, bring it back to the community, discuss it with the proper people at the civic meetings, the CACs, whatever, and not adopt this at the time, and not even consider this right at this juncture. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Gail. Kevin, is there anyone on Zoom for the 7th public hearing?
There are two people.
Okay.
Pamela, are you there?
Yes, I am. Hi. So I just have a bunch of questions about this because I hadn't been familiar with it today. Bridgehampton already has 3 hotels. They are I won't say pretty expensive, they're very expensive. So hard for a lot of people to stay in those, but we already do have 3. That's not to say that there couldn't be more. We also do have one section that's in the highway business zone, so this could potentially affect Bridgehampton. So I wanted to know, are you thinking that is there a potential that we could have yet a 4th unaffordable hotel? Is there any restriction on this in that way? And it's a question. I'm asking a question.
Well,
Restriction on the rates.
here,
You want to finish speaking and then?
We don't
yeah,
know.
why don't you think?
Finish
and
speaking.
then-
Any developer who comes
speaking.
along, and if they want to build another very expensive hotel, it could be a potentially 4th very expensive hotel.
What is your next question?
That
Ask
was
other
my
questions,
question.
We'll answer them. We're not gonna go back and forth like we did with you last time.
That is very disrespectful, Councilman Pell,
Well, I
and I resent
apologize.
it. My other concern is that I hear there are parking restrictions, but the problem with parking restrictions, they sound good, but I have yet to go to a zoning board of appeals meeting where somebody asks for a variance on parking where they haven't allowed some level of variance for parking. It's happened with all the properties on the Main Street corridor in Bridgehampton. Anyone who asked for a parking variance has gotten that parking variance. We just had one very recently for one of our retail stores. And yeah, very often the ZBA will even refer back to the planning board. Do you think there's enough parking? Yeah, there's enough parking. So I don't know how that, I take that very lightly when I hear that there has to be a certain amount of parking on site for these hotels. We know that everybody can go to the zoning board of appeals and historically speaking, get a variance on that. And so I also wanted to know how big these could be. Did you say they could be as much as 65 units, and that's tied in with the size of the lot?
Yes,
Because a
16
lot
to
of places are going
65.
subterranean. So
Okay.
are you taking into consideration, and I'm thinking of density, I was, about a year ago, went to Topping
30
Rose,
seconds.
and I was amazed by the amount of subterranean space that they have that I didn't even realize it. And that's happening a lot, at least in Bridgehampton, that even in private homes, there's so much subterranean space that it becomes very high density, even though there are a lot of people living in each house, even though it doesn't look as big from the outside. Will that be allowed too?
3 minutes.
That's
It
all, those are
specifically
my
says
questions.
basement, cellars, attics, no hotel unit shall be permitted in an attic, basement, or cellar areas. All units shall meet the state fire code for sprinkler systems.
Okay. But regarding parking, is there any way that you can mandate that? I guess you can't mandate that no variances are given because you're not allowed to, I guess.
Yeah, we're not allowed to do that.
Right, okay. Thank you.
So Janice, do you want to just
wanna just
address that? Because
Do you want to just get through the next one and then?
Oh, is there someone else? I'm sorry.
there's someone
There's
else.
somebody else.
Okay, Kevin?
Yes, one more.
It's Peter now, I believe. Is that you, Peter?
Yeah, we just switched out.
Just switched. I knew it.
I appreciate it.
Not Peter, sorry.
No, Peter's running the show
No,
back
Peter's
there.
running our,
okay.
TV tonight.
Meredith Berkowitz from the Bridgehampton Civic Association. I too just had some questions. Following up on what Pamela just said, can amenities be subterranean? That's one question. And, could hotels then be putting a restaurant below grade or putting a gym below grade or things that might require, people to come to the hotel to draw people in? Second, also, like Gail, I feel like as a community and a civic association, our job is to play devil's advocate and try to punch holes in some of this stuff. It doesn't mean we don't support it. So I just want to be clear about that. And we may not support it in the future. But part of what we want to ask is, make sure, how do you protect against someone who is going to come in through this process with the discretion that it would now go to the town board? And I actually think that is better than the planning board, but how to protect against that discretion being as the prior speaker said, made in a back office deal. And should, how will these projects get vetted with the community beforehand versus after, if it's now switched to a town board process versus a planning board process?
Are those your two?
Okay, so.
Yeah, those are
then-
my questions.
Okay, thank you. All right, and Peter, there's no one else on Zoom, correct?
No one else.
Okay, so Janice, why don't you come up and,
I would say, just in, below grade, there's, state fire code obviously prevails. You could park below grade, but
but
a
you
lot
could
of
put the
times.
gym in the basement.
Yeah, you could
if
put the
want,
gym in the
below.
basement, the spa or the fitness center in the
Yeah,
basement,
fitness.
food service. CPI
We
has
also
that
heard on
now.
something, I don't know if it was here or where we were talking about it, but apparently putting parking below ground is cost prohibitive to do.
Very expensive. And honestly, it's better if you could.
Was the
But
town
there's
board
a
then?
lot of groundwater issues in many of our places. You have to de-water in order to even think about doing that. So it's usually like not even on the table most times. But yes, you can put things in the basement. Overall, the coverage is the coverage, and below ground under that same structure is still the same coverage, right? So it's surface coverage that we're talking about. Obviously, parking is a limiting factor, and like you said, if the zoning itself would not be valid if you didn't have any relief. So we all know that you have to have relief built in, or none of this would even be here. And also, it is not spot zoning if it is compliant with your comprehensive plan. So you have any other further questions?
So parking wise, let's say 65 rooms, you have 65 parking places for guests. You have to have overflow for the lounge and for any other amenities.
Yeah, we have parking calculations, 330.95. We have all of that, and we sit there and parse it out and go, this much for the office, 1 per 180 for this, 1,000 square feet for storage. You know, we do all that at the planning board level, so we would know that.
So
Yeah.
you know how many spaces you actually need.
How many spaces you need, and in fact, we encourage land banking. If you don't need them all, they can come and say, we have a parking requirement of 100 spaces, but we only want to actually do 75 right now until we get off the ground, and then we do like covenants, and they have to open the spaces over time and stuff like that, so it's more green. Yeah, we do that quite a bit. Or they could share parking if they have let's say they have some kind of, a dentist office or something that's not open at night, and they want to share parking and have their own private arrangement with them. And then they can say, well, we're open and we have this special Christmas thing, and we want to share parking and let them park at we don't, that's great. Great. As long as they can walk over and it's safe, we're happy with that. So they can do that too. But that doesn't mean they're going to get an even bigger building. That's, again, you get to vet all that out.
Yeah, on a case-by-case basis.
On a case-by-case basis. It's just impossible to know what people are gonna wanna do in the future. It's very difficult to know. If I had a crystal ball, I would not be here because I would have the winning lottery numbers. So,
And all this would need, the units would need health department to meet, health
Yeah,
department,
health
that's any
department's another
requirements too,
massive limiting factor.
Which is very limiting, right?
Very
Right, sure.
limiting.
Right, depending on what you.
Isn't the point behind this is that we want to, to allow for temporary lodging throughout the town where where there isn't any in certain hamlets in the highway business areas. And if we were to just say that they're allowed in highway business, that could, create this proliferation of hotels.
Could.
You wouldn't be able to say, oh, if one goes where the Bordy Barn is and then somebody buys Macy's and wants to put one there, we wouldn't be able to say no, right?
Right.
And then there could be another one down the street. So you propose this to us as a protection against that, to say, we can look at how many are already there and we can legally say no, just because of that reason, right?
Right.
I mean, I don't wanna get into like commerce clauses and things like that, but for the most part, yes, that's true.
So that way we don't saturate one area.
Yeah, you can say, it's not conducive. And actually, this section in 34.9, it says you're making these findings. So in addition to the usual discretion in considering a change of zone, you shall also consider the amount of existing hotel accommodations in the immediate area, the appropriateness of the site, environmental considerations, which also includes if it's subterranean and there's some kind of drainage pattern. The proposed development designed to accommodate the number of guest units proposed, the need for additional community benefits or off-site improvements. So you can even say, we need this off-site improvement, we need you to connect the sidewalk from over here to over there, and they can agree to that or not, but this is all like wrapped into this discretion.
Yeah.
Versus the planning board can never exact anything off-site, unless it's a major project, which like massive mitigation needed, it's always on-site exaction. We call them exactions. They're like things that are like you need to do in order for your development program to work. In a zone change world, you can get off-site. You can go further away from the site to get public improvements, which is a good thing.
And like you said, the code as is completely infeasible.
The code as is.
4 rooms per acre is just, no one's gonna do that.
Yeah, so we have to like revisit that as of right, special exception, but it's pretty much, if you meet the standards, there's layers of protection, but it's.
Which is what originally we were leaning toward doing, but it was just gonna be an actual proliferation that
That
we
was a
couldn't
concern,
control.
yeah, that's the concern.
Well, that was the concern, exactly. And this
Unintended
way, it
consequences.
just keeps it more in your hands. And it is true that the Bordy Barn precipitated this, because we looked at both ways. And you said this way has the most local home rule control with the elected board, the legislative body, that we could get.
Yeah, I mean, in general, I'm not a fan of floating zones because I feel like long-term planning is, we shouldn't have that much discretion, but in this case, I understand, the concerns about just changing the code and the zoning, and so I think it seems to me to be appropriate.
If I said, just for a moment, if you indulge me, if I went, you get one and you don't. You just enriched one guy and not the other. So floating makes it a little bit more even playing field, and you decide versus upfront, which you would like to say in a comp plan, like, here's the only place that a hotel makes any sense. That's great for the guy that owns that property, but it's not great for the other guy down the street that didn't get told that. So
You
then they
wouldn't
turned
pick
it
a
into-
property in particular, though, you'd do a zone.
Well, that's what we did. It's just a floating zone. But you get to land it, so you are getting to do what you want. You get to land that zone. You can land that zone in contiguous parcels if you wanted to. You get to decide.
So
there's
since
more to
we
come.
haven't heard from the planning board, I think we ought to hold it
open.
over.
Oh, yeah,
to-
and you have a local determination from the county.
Are we holding
Right.
just a written comment open, or are we holding another public hearing?
You can hold agency comment, you can hold it open for agency
Yeah.
comments. if
But
you
then
want.
if they have specific things that we need to change, I mean,
However
we'd have
you
to
think.
renotice the hearing.
You can hold it open, whatever is your pleasure.
The 18th? Will it be
Alright.
done by the 18th?
Yeah, it's tomorrow. I mean, Thursday, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Oh, the hearing.
The public, planning board did.
All right, so we'll hold it open till the next meeting on the
I just have,
18th.
two quick comments, and that is, both this is, this zoning and the community housing overlay district, these aren't giving anybody anything. These are the start of a process to get things, and those processes still involve the planning board. They still involve having discussions on every project that comes to request this zoning. And on the statement of, it's the holidays, and we're a legislative body, and everything in government takes forever to begin with. And if we were to say, we're not going to do any work during the holidays, we're not going to move anything forward because people want to enjoy their holidays, they don't want to be involved in government, that's what we're here for, that's our job. We have an 80-page agenda, and to say that, none of this should happen tonight because people are on vacation and it's the holidays, we don't have the discrepancy, we don't have the direction to do that. We have CACs that are taking months off because it's the winter. We have, I potentially put it on for the last meeting with the Housing Overlay District was because I wanted to have a night meeting, and that was the last night meeting for an extended period of time. And had I waited, I would have gotten pushback from, you never had an evening meeting. So we're not gonna win for anything, but I mean, I always ask the community to be involved in these things, and, everybody should be reading these agendas. I know they don't have the time, they don't have the want, but I would like to hear from more people, but we just don't. And to say that we shouldn't act because it's the holidays is,
Slows things
So
down.
having these floating zones are just more tools in your toolbox. I can't tell you every time you're gonna need to use a Phillips screwdriver, but you're gonna need it. So it's the same idea.
And-
You're probably gonna need it. We don't know when you're gonna need it, but when you want it, it'll be there for you. And if you don't ever need it, then you don't use it.
and we had public work sessions on both of these things, so.
Yeah, we did have a work session on the hotel. So, all right, then we move to adjourn, hold over the public hearing until the meeting on December 18th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, that brings us to public portion. Suzanne Smith. You've got stamina sitting through all of this.
Yeah, wasn't easy.
Good afternoon, Ms. Moore and the board. Suzanne Smith, Hampton Bay Civic Association. I have a few questions about the plans for the Jackson Avenue project. And can you tell me how many cars estimated to be going into to the Hampton Bays location? And how many cars estimated to stay there for the day, I'm sorry. And how many cars are estimated to be going traveling to this location at the part of the day? And how many cars are estimated to be driving into town for lunch, errands, during daytime hours, and all in our already very congested traffic plan? And how many parking spaces are planned for Hampton Bays for the project? And how many parking spaces do you have here? Because I had a hard time parking today.
Yeah, well, the parking is going to be, it's already been analyzed as to how much each building and employees and guests would need. So that's in the plan. I don't have it with me right now,
Okay.
but,
It's being put up online,
oh, good.
yes, to make it available. Nick
Yeah.
said earlier that he
And
got a
you-
call about some information, so he was going to ask for it
I
to be
didn't
put
hear
up.
Sandy, I'm
It's going to
sorry.
be put up online, so it will be available to you. They were working on that today to get it up so that you could see the details that were presented during the work session.
You also have to realize, before this goes much farther, it's gonna be up in Hampton Bays, so you guys can put input on it.
Okay.
This is just, one town board has to get it going. If we don't get it going, then the town court system will be sitting on the blacktop,
Okay.
and the police station will be falling down.
Yeah.
Someone has to get us started.
This was
And-
just to conceptualize
Yeah.
where the buildings could be laid out in a much more functional
And
way.
if we do build a new court system, we want to make sure we build it in the right way, just in case we do move the town hall up there, or if we build the police department, a new police department building, we do it in the right spot, and we take the old police department and redo it and move code enforcement over from the building we just bought and sell that, put everything there.
But there hasn't been a discussion
It has-
about
it's-
moving town hall
No,
over. That's really, at this point, we're talking about building a new justice court, demolishing the trailers that they're in, building a new police department, and then repurposing the existing police department for some of the other, that are already there in Hampton Bays that
Code
would move out of.
Fire marshal.
So people from Southampton won't be going to, people that work in Southampton won't be going to Hampton Bays?
No, what I'm saying is, well, for the most part, everybody who's already there is staying there. It's just gonna be
Okay.
newly configured and new buildings. But then
Okay.
there will be a point, we're leaving space for town hall that could get built in the future in sections. And that would have to be whoever
And
the
that's
town
what
board is at
concerns
that
the
point.
Civic Association today, because we're already at our max.
Yeah. This
You
is-
can't go to the post office on a Saturday or a Sunday. You can't do things in Hampton Bays because you can't find a parking spot.
Yeah, that's why we
You
just
can't
designated the
today
space.
without any additions. And Cindy, I'd just like to address what you said about you can't really do anything about traffic. Well, we can do something about traffic, or we can stop expanding. We can stop just going bigger and higher and better, and motels and all of those things adds traffic.
I said,
So we can do something about
I
traffic.
said building affordable housing wouldn't do anything for traffic.
I'm just saying, we can stop
say we couldn't.
building. We can stop it all. We can put a moratorium on something. We can do something about traffic, as we don't want to do something about traffic. That's-
We do. We're
But
hiring.
we're not working on doing
But we
something.
are.
We're building, taking this building down and putting 4 others in its spot. We're taking this down and putting 3 others in its spot. It's too much expansion. The East End, it's too much expansion. And that's what you can do. You can stop expanding.
We
Okay.
appreciate your comments.
3 minutes.
Thank you
Thank you.
for the time.
Okay, Gail Lombardi.
As my blood boils. I signed up for open session because I had prepared comments, but since Mr. Pell said I need to direct my comments on this, and also Councilman McNamara, I'm really offended by the fact that you said, well, it's Christmas and we still have to be, and why don't you use the word benign, just like we did with Bess? We had this exact conversation with the Bess and a lot of other zoning. Oh, it's benign. Oh, we got to go through the holidays. And I believe it was you that said you looked up how many people showed up during the Bess zoning, and you said it was 2 or 3. And here we are, exactly the same situation. No zoning is benign as far as I'm concerned, because I do not trust your zoning process. I don't. I'm sorry. I don't trust, and I don't trust, it's not that I don't trust you. I don't trust your trusted advisors to explore all aspects. Nothing should be great. What's all the downsides? I never, ever hear, these are the downsides. These are all the pros and cons, and we've weighed all these things. I never hear that, ever. And so we have to be, the community has to be the naysayers. I don't like being a naysayer. I am, as that woman said, I'm supportive of the hotel. I'm supportive of affordable housing. I do believe that we need to provide, just in the city, we have Mitchell Amis, where teachers and those that don't make a lot of money but do a great service for our community, nurses, they deserve a good place to live. I don't believe in 35 units on whatever the number of acreage is. I don't. That's not what the people wanted. We were assuming, we were misled, that those affordable housing and that fund was going to be used to help our people. I'm not a teacher, I'm not a nurse, but I respect these people, and they don't make a lot of money, and they deserve a nice place to live. Not a one-bedroom apartment, they deserve a single-family house. They deserve that. We deserve to be creative about what we supply to our people, not this cookie-cutter, 35-year-old zoning. I'm sorry. And it's very offensive. This has not been brought to the community. This hotel, floating zones, hasn't been brought to the community. I don't know if Janice is still here, but I'm really pissed off because due to discretion, that was supposed to be at the Dyna site. Those developers and those building owners wanted a hotel and a diner at that site, and the administration and Jay walked around taking polls. Everybody was in favor of looking at it 5 years ago. But instead, the administration used their discretion, and they wanted the road to nowhere down to Good Ground Road, and that never came before the public. It was in the paper, Jay discussed it, but no, now, because it came before the public, and now it's, now it's at the Border Bond site. I would like to see a motel. I don't know what the downside is, but neither do you, because you haven't explored it. You haven't explored the full environmental impact of the corridor. As Sue said, you just don't know. And so these things need to be tabled. They need to be brought to the community. We need to have open and frank conversations about what's going on. What's the rush? What's the rush? So if there's no rush, you could table these things and take them up next year with the community. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Gail. Brenda Sinclair Bernston. Thank you.
Hi, Brenda.
Hi.
My name is Brenda Sinclair Burnson. As a resident of Hampton Bays, I am concerned with plans for a propane storage facility to be built at 159 West Montauk Highway in Hampton Bays. In the interest of transparency, I am the owner of Gog Sinclair Fuels right next door. I am not here as a competitor of the applicant, but as a community member with knowledge of the propane industry. This application is seriously ill-advised and requires the town to ignore NFPA 58, a national standard which has been adopted previously by Southampton Town. NFPA 58 requires a minimum 50-foot setback on all sides of propane storage. Excuse me? 50, yes, I'm sorry. 50 foot each side. This property simply does not fit that minimum safety requirement. Additionally, the site plan calls for the propane trucks to be parked at the back of the property. In the event of an accident in the storage area, the bobtails would be needed to move through the danger zone by going through the storage area. Moving the trucks out of the harm's way is the first step that needs to be taken, and this plan does not allow for that to happen. To be clear, I am not opposed to the applicant building propane storage. I am opposed to it being built with the national standard cannot be met. Recently, the applicant applied to Quogue Village to build a facility in an industrial area in Quogue and was denied. I did not object to this application. There is currently an application by a competitor in Riverhead Town to build a propane facility. I did not object to that application. I am not concerned about the new construction, rather about the location of this new construction. This is probably the busiest intersection in Hampton Bays. Congestion will not be helped by added transport vehicles. It is not a commercially zoned property. There is no benefit to our community to have this safety standard ignored to allow this facility to be built right there. The recent fire at the Cruz Brothers property to our direct west was a startling reminder that accidents happen, and they happen in the blink of an eye. If not for the quick actions of our dedicated fire department, who have our undying gratitude, and respect, and the surrounding departments who offered aid, this would have been a major catastrophe for our community. As I stood watching the fire with my family, I was horrified by what could have been. This incident demonstrates why safety guidelines exist and why they should not be ignored. Our community is depending on you to keep us safe and to keep our best interests at heart. This plan does neither. I respectfully request that this application be denied. Thank you very much for your consideration. I hope you all have a wonderful holiday season.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Brenda.
That application's not before this board. Have you gone to the planning board? It must be before the planning board.
It's going to be the 8th, January 8th.
You have to go to
But I
that.
wanted to make sure that, as
That we all knew about.
others have
Yeah.
said, sometimes we don't always know what's going on before it goes on.
Yes,
This
that always
is-
happens.
Well, I'll try to pick on people.
Gail's my
but
witness.
Definitely follow up with John.
I just want to make sure that everybody is aware, there's a standard. I've talked to a number of people in our industry, asking them, and the first thing everybody says is, boy, that's a lot of propane in a small area. I mean, it's a lot of propane, and I'm not saying that this happens all the time. There's not, obviously, explosions every day. It's not a common thing. But when it happens, it can be a major catastrophe, and that's why there's safety guidelines. Thank you very much.
Thank
And
you.
it's important to have the safety guidelines, because look what could happen in the wildfires up in West Hampton with that one. That could have been a major, a lot of people got hurt. Came closer.
Yeah, it's, as I say, I mean, I always understood what the dangers were, but standing there watching this fire that had nothing to do with anything on my property, the only thing that stopped a real problem was our fire department, and it was a little eye-opening. So I hope that we will seriously take everything to heart, because it's important.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Jim, is that something you can speak with
Sure,
John
yeah.
Rankin about?
Right.
Our chief fire marshal?
With our chief, John.
Okay.
Chief fire
He's
marshal.
outside.
He's hard to miss, he's a very big guy.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'll
we'll
speak
speak with him, but you could speak with him too when you're on your way.
sorry?
You could speak with him
Sure.
too on your way out,
He's right
but
there.
Jim will.
He's listening.
I'm sure the applications come up through his desk.
That's him.
Oh, that's you. I haven't spoken to you. Okay.
John's been here for over 40 years. He knows this stuff like nobody does, so.
Okay. Thank you very
Thank you
much,
so much.
everyone. I appreciate it.
She can speak with him outside, yeah. She-
done?
Yes, thank you. Peter, is there anyone on Zoom for public portion?
Yes, there is one person.
Hi, Meredith Berkowitz again, Bridgehampton Civic Association. I just wanted to follow up, as Gail Lombardi did as well. First of all, I wanted to say I agree with Supervisor Moore on the definition for the senior housing. I didn't bring it up this time during the public hearing because I had already brought that up during the November 25th hearing. But to clarify for Council Person McNamara, it doesn't mean that people who are 55 to 62 can't live in this proposed workforce housing. It just means they would have to meet the income standards. And it is concerning, at least to me as a member of the public, that we might be relieving people that are 55 to 62 from needing to comply with those income requirements, when this should really be focused on our real seniors who are retirees and need affordable housing. I also, the point which I did not do very articulately earlier about people up the island is that the point I was trying to make is that as housing up island gets more and more expensive, and I have family, a lot of my husband's family are blue collar workers. I see what's happening to a lot of the blue collar communities that existed in Suffolk County. Their housing is becoming unaffordable too, and they don't have the same workforce housing. And you may see, even though you're not seeing big numbers now, you're seeing very tiny numbers of people who aren't local. As you start to advertise this and word gets out that you're building this and you have this overlay that allows expedited processing and proposals, you may see more people apply for this housing because that's all they can really afford. That was the only point I was trying to make. And then my questions on I forgot on the housing overlay to ask, sorry, on the hotel overlay, what happens if you turn a project down? You said that they can go to the planning board as right, and whether that's true on the community housing fund overlay or in the hotel overlay, what's to stop them if you turn them down from just turning around and going back to the planning board and using the regular process? Lastly, I wanted to say that, Councilperson McNamara, you said that it was the start of a process, and I get that, and I think it's the way you've drafted this to include community input. I think that's a really great thing, but it is coming at the, suddenly all three are big proposals, and they're coming at the end of the year, and it does bring back memories of what happened with MRTA and the pot shops and how that got pushed through. And now a couple of years later, 5 years later, or 4 years later, we're now dealing with the consequences and the town's in litigation over it because, it had consequences that no one foresaw or intended. And so we're just, as Gail Lombardi also said, we just don't see when the planners come to you or the people that are proposing these laws, they talk about all the positives and why you should do it, but they don't always go into the cons. And then the last thing, which is really just a question, is you mentioned that the public work sessions is the public allowed to attend those work sessions and ask questions and provide input when these things are on agendas for town board work sessions? Thank you very much.
Thanks. I'm not sure which one she's referring to, but it is in there for the overlay. For the community housing overlay that they're
Yes.
allowed to provide comments.
To equate this to the MRTA, the prior supervisor decided not to have any community input on the MRTA. It's the state that set the deadline for December 31st, and there was never any allowance, the former supervisor opted to not have any public hearings on it. So to equate that to this, which had 2 public hearings and a work session, is just not right.
The hotel one, we had a work session on, right?
Mhm.
We had a work session on the Community Housing Fund Overlay District as well.
We did?
Yes.
Two.
We did?
All right, well, if there's no other comments, then I move to close the public portion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I did have a request for a 5-minute break.
Oh,
So
that's
if you, Peter, if you could just give us 5 minutes
5 minutes, Peter.
to refresh ourselves. Okay, so, let's, what I think is going back in, but, all right, so let's get going with the town board resolutions. Everybody ready?
Yes.
Okay.
Do it.
Town Board Resolution 2025-1443, to authorize the comptroller to pay Moody's Investors Service Corp. as it relates to the 2025 Town of Southampton's credit rating for its public improvement serial bonds.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2025-1444, to authorize purchases from WB Mason Company Incorporated using the Suffolk County and Eastern Suffolk BOCES contract.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2025-1445, co-sponsored by Councilwoman McNamara, to authorize purchases of unmanned vehicle systems from Advexture LLC using the Sourcewell contract
Second for the drones.
for the drones. All in favor?
Aye. Town Board Resolution 1446 of 2025, co-sponsored by Councilman Martell, authorize supervisor to sign a contract extension for furnish and deliver meter pits with Ferguson Waterworks and T-Minus Supply LLC.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2025-1447, authorize supervisor to sign contract extend with Ecotech Management for LLC for electric waste removal and recycle and disposal program.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 1448 of 2025, co-sponsored with Councilman Martell. Authorize supervisor to sign a contract extension with York Analytical Laboratories, Inc. to provide water analysis to the Hampton Bays Water District.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2025-1449, authorize supervisor to sign contract with L.K. McLean, Associate Engineer and Survey, DPC, for professional engineer design and permit and service for Bay Drive, Hampton Bays replacement bulkhead.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2025-1450, authorize supervisor to sign contract with Pavement Service, Inc. for local project plan and pavement service to be provided to the Highway Department.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2025-1451, authorize supervisor to sign contract, to sign a no-cost contract extension with L.K. McLean, Associate Engineer and Survey, DPC, for professional engineer design and permit and service for Bay West Avenue, West Hampton bulkhead replacement.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Town Board Resolution 1452 of 2025, authorize supervisor to sign contract extension with Coastal Commercial Property Management, Inc. for irrigation maintenance and repair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2025-1453, co-sponsored by the entire board, to authorize supplemental funding allocation for the Town of Southampton Highway Department Water Quality Improvement Projects entitled Rose Hill Road Improvement, Shore Road and Yacht Club Drive Improvements, and Tanner's Neck Lane improvements for the 2025 Community Preservation Fund 20% Water Quality Improvement Project funding.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. These are all great projects.
Bless you.
Town Board Resolution 2025-1454 to authorize the purchases of emergency road tire service and tires, passenger cars, light, medium, and heavy-duty trucks, off-road equipment using Suffolk County contracts with Barnwell House of Tires.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 1455 of 2025, authorize the supervisor to execute a 2026 stewardship agreement with Alan Schneider to provide security services at Squiretown Park and Hampton Bays.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Town Board Resolution 1456 of 2025, authorize the supervisor to execute a 2026 stewardship agreement with Patricia Obie to provide security services at Ludlam Park in Riverside.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2025-1457, co-sponsored with Councilman Martell. Authorize the supervisor to execute a 26 support agreement for MRI Software LLC for the Town of Southampton Housing Authority for the administration of the Southampton Town Housing Authority Section 8 Housing Choice Voucher Program.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 1458 of 2025, co-sponsored with Councilwoman McNamara. Authorize the supervisor to execute a contract extension with Eagle Control Corp. as sole source provider for the supply of constant chlor briquettes to perform services and routine maintenance and SCADA upgrades to the constant chlor chlorinator at the Hampton Bays Water District.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Town Board Resolution 2025-1459, authorize the supervisor to extend a no-cost contract extension with L.K. McLean, Associate Engineer and Survey, DPC, for engineer design, permit and service for Bay Avenue East, Hampton Bays.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2025-1460, authorize supervisor to sign, execute a no-cost contract extension with L.K. McLean, Associate Engineer and Survey, DPC, to provide engineering, design, permit, and construction support for the replacement for Jobs Lane Bridge in Virginia.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Town Board Resolution 2025-1461, co-sponsored by Councilwoman McNamara, to authorize the supervisor to execute any and all documents with Quan Software Engineering Incorporated, doing business as Veripic, Inc., to upgrade Veripic software.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2025-1462, to authorize supervisor to sign a contract extension with Parkline Asphalt Maintenance, Inc., application for crack seal.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Town Board Resolution 1463 of 2025, authorize the supervisor to sign an agreement with Heather Rollo for fitness classes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Town Board Resolution 1464 of 2025, authorize the supervisor to sign an agreement with Patricia Tizzulo for fitness classes.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Town Board Resolution 2025-1465, co-sponsored by the entire board, to authorize a funding match for Town of Southampton Environmental Facilities Corporation's Clean Vessel Assistance Program for the Bay Constable's Pump Out Boat Program from the 2025 Community Preservation Fund, 20% Water Quality Improvement Project funding.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2025-1466, co-sponsored by Councilmember Iacilli, to authorize the supervisor to execute an intermunicipal agreement for the establishment of the Peconic Bay Region Advisory Committee and the Office of the Regional Community Preservation Fund Council, and to retain the legal services of Mary Wilson Esquire.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Town Board Resolution 1467 of 2025, award and authorize supervisor to sign contract with Maximum Motorsports LLC for activity vehicles.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2025-1468, co-sponsored by Council Members McNamara and Pell, to declare items surplus and authorize the disposal of vehicles and equipment.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Town Board Resolution 1469 of 2025, co-sponsored with Councilman Martell, recall and amend Resolution 2025-644, award and authorize supervisor to sign contract with Delta Well and Pump Company Incorporated for district-wide well and pump maintenance, repair, and upgrades at the Hampton Bays Water District.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2025-1470, recall and amend Town Board Resolution number 2024-1492, and award and authorize supervisor to sign a contract with Passport Lab, Inc. to furnish and install integrated parking management.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2025-1471, 2026 notice to bidders for dispose and recycle service for mixed paper and corrugated cardboard.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2025-1472, co-sponsored by Councilwoman McNamara, the 2026 notice to bidders for dry cleaning and laundry services.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2025-1473, to amend the 2025 budget for various departments.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2025-1474, to amend the 2025-2029 capital budget for investigation emergency response unit.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2025-1475, recall and amend Resolution 2025-589 and 2025-847, authorize and retain of Wilson, Elson, Markowitz, Aldi, and Dickinson LLP.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2025-1476, to appoint Mark McIntyre to the Conservation Board.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2025-1477, co-sponsored by the entire board, to authorize the town attorney to accept a settlement from the Hampton Bays Water District share of the partial settlement with DuPont in the aqueous film forming foams products liability class action litigation.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 1478 of 2025, co-sponsored with Councilman Martell, Pell, and Iacilli. I need a motion to amend
Second to amend.
What's the amendment?
on page 49. Number 1, where it says the need for units for a range of income types. I need to cross out or remove where it says low, moderate, and middle income families, and the rest can remain. So basically what's in parentheses is being removed.
What page, 49?
49. The top.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so, All in favor of the amendment?
Aye.
Aye.
So Town Board Resolution 1478, 2025, notice of adoption of a local law to repeal Chapter 330 zoning, Article 5A, entitled Affordable Housing Overlay District, Sections 29.1 to 29.11, rename Article 5A to Community Housing Fund Overlay District, and replace Sections 29.1 to 29.10 with updated standards in order to coordinate zoning procedures with the Town Board's process for Community Housing Fund approvals, as amended.
Second.
So just on the motion, I know I had said earlier that I wanted to prioritize the citizens that were 62 and over, but we did have further discussions, and I'm willing to just do it as is, but we'll have the discretion to put those restrictions on a project-by-project basis, and if it doesn't seem to be working, then we can always revisit the legislation.
Thank you.
Yes, and I agree again with the supervisor on that. We can look at it again.
Okay, so, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 1479 of 2025, resolution of adoption amending Town Code Article 4, multifamily plan residential development districts as it relates to expiration of approvals.
On the motion, why not 1 year extension? What's
Give
the?
me a second first.
Oh. Do we have a second?
Somebody can
I'll
start
second.
it.
So why not a 1 year extension? What's the logic in the 2 year? I'm curious.
For the 3 years to start and then 2 1-year
Then 2
extensions.
year, 1 year, yeah.
It gives you more opportunities to look at it.
Why not just 1 year,
1 2-year extension.
Or, no, just one, you're not saying 1 2 year
Gives the-
extension, you're
gives the
saying
town
like just
board a little more
one
discretion.
extension.
It gives you know, if you want to just extend it for the one more year, or.
Just because isn't it really incumbent upon the applicant to know when they're gonna be coming up on expiration?
Sure.
So,
Absolutely.
so,
Fall asleep and forget about it until it's too late.
They shouldn't. No, I mean, obviously, they should be, as soon as they get this approval, they should be prosecuting their planning board approvals and getting a health department, but, yeah, typically, it takes a minimum of 3 years to get through that process.
I will also add that in most resolutions, when we do zone changes, any stipulations such as an expiration are in the resolution of adoption, and that wasn't put, I mean, this should be put in the resolution of adoption for a zone change, so that people are very aware, when it's adopted, that it has an expiration date and what that is.
That's a good idea, gives the surrounding community.
But having 2 1-year extensions, maxed it out at 5, but then just gave us an extra opportunity to give a year and then potentially another year. Because they have to get through
Why not
Board of
just one?
Health and zoning, just one 1-year extension, and
You're saying
cap it at 4.
You're
Because we
saying
look
1
at
2 year, or you're
because
saying
when,
one-
Then it's 4 years.
but when we talk to Jim, a case law team seems to be around 5 years for a reasonable amount of time to get you through the process.
5 years should do it.
I think at 5 years, if you rescind the zoning after 5 years, you've given ample time.
5 years. And it does say we may extend, so we don't have to
Yeah, may,
give the
right,
Yes.
right,
second
absolutely,
You don't.
right, you don't.
1 year
It gives you a little
extension.
discretion if after 3 years, if they, if they've shown good faith, if they've made their planning board applications, or they're going through and they're getting hung up on the health department or something, or some other issue like that.
Right.
Then you can grant an additional year if you want. And then if if they're still prosecuting and they're still moving along and they're close now, then you can grant them the fifth. But that's entirely up to you. It's entirely up to your discretion
It
of
was
this
just
board.
trying to work in reasonable amount of time. And 18 months is just, or 6-month extensions are just kind of
Yeah, no,
ridiculous,
that's-
because
yeah,
we couldn't
correct.
even do 6-month extension on the moratorium until we were re-upping it again.
Right, and I think the supervisor mentioned last time, the
As long as
idea
we have
that
discretion.
the town board goes through all this to change a zone. That could take 2 or 3, 4, 5 years to actually agree to change something. Do you have so little faith in it that you gotta give it an 18-month expiration? That doesn't make a lot of sense most of the times.
I mean, 3 years should be enough, but we
Yeah,
can give them the extensions
it's a
if they're
minimum,
using
yeah.
good faith moving along.
Right, depending on the size of the project, 3 years to get through planning board and health department that's minimum these days. So.
All right, so all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2025-1480. This is the resolution of adoption to amend Town Code Chapter 123, Article 2, Sections 123-10 and 123-11 on construction and parking.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Nicely done, Michael.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, everybody, for your support.
Town Board Resolution 2025-1481, co-sponsored with Councilwoman McNamara, authorized funding for the rebate for the IA's septic system with extended circumstances for the 2025 Community Preservation Fund septic rebate monies.
Second.
All in favor?
And may I be, can I be added to that, please?
Town Board Resolution 1482 of 2025, authorize waiver of Parks and Recreation facility use fee for Village of East Quogue Beautification Committee holiday tree lighting ceremony on Saturday, December 6, 2025.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Town Board Resolution 1483 of 2025, authorize waiver of Parks and Recreation facility use fee for the Village of East Quogue Beautification Committee menorah installation and lighting ceremony.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2025-1484 to set the town board meeting dates for 2026.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yes. Aye.
Town Board Resolution 1485 of 2025, co-sponsored by the entire board, waive showmobile and bathroom trailer fee for the East Quogue Fire Department holiday on main event.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Town Board,
Sad by all.
that's, yeah, it was nice. Very well attended, right? Town Board Resolution 2025-1486 to authorize the supervisor to sign a letter of intent to decline funding from the New York State Department of Transportation for the Noyak Road pedestrian enhancement under the Transportation Alternatives Program.
Second, and can you add me on to it, please?
All in favor?
Aye.
And I'll get that letter out. Town Board Resolution 2025-1487 to accept the retirement of Patrick Mullen, Maintenance Mechanic 2, in trustees.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2025-1488 to appoint a hearing officer for the Highway Department.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2025-1489, co-sponsored by Councilmember Iacilli, to appoint Jacqueline Risch to accountant trainee position in the Comptroller's Office.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2025-1490, to appoint Jesse James to Senior Electrical Inspector position from the Civil Service list.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2025-1491, to appoint Carrie Papo to Principal Office Assistant position in Land Management Planning Division.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2025-1492, to authorize the supervisor to sign a stipulation of agreement with CSEA.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I just want to point out on
Sorry,
these,
who's the
because
second?
people thought that these were the contract, and they're not.
Oh, this is just with respect to a grievance. And Town Board Resolution 2025-1493, to authorize the town supervisor to sign a stipulation of agreement with CSEA.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
It's also an unrelated matter, but hopefully we'll be taking the vote on December 18th
Yes.
on the contract. Town Board Resolution 2025-1494, to terminate an employee in municipal works.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2025-1495, to terminate another employee in municipal works.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2025-1496, co-sponsored by the entire board, a notice of public hearing to consider the acquisition of 1950 Meadow Lane in the Village of Southampton, and to amend the CPF project plan and the CPF management and stewardship plan to include the property.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That's on for January 13th.
Town Board Resolution 2025-1497, resolution to set a public hearing to amend Town Code Chapter 312, Vehicles and Traffic, Article 7, Turn movement in Section 312-72.2, right turns for forbidden.
Sec.
All in favor?
Aye.
That's on for January 13th. Town Board Resolution 2025-1498, co-sponsored by the entire board, to authorize the acquisition of 11 West Shore Drive in the hamlet of North Sea, New York, and to amend the CPF project plan and the CPF management and stewardship plan to include the property.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Town Board Resolution 2025-1499, co-sponsored by the entire board, to authorize the acquisition of 185 Widow Gavitz Road in the hamlet of Sag Harbor, and to amend the CPF project plan and CPF management and stewardship plan to include the property.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Town Board Resolution 2025-1500, co-sponsored by the entire board, to authorize the acquisition of 51 Beach Plum Road in the hamlet of Noyak, New York, and to amend the CPF project plan and the CPF management and stewardship plan to include the property.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Town Board Resolution 2025-1501, co-sponsored by the entire board, to authorize the acquisition of 87 Shore Drive in the hamlet of North Sea, New York, and to amend the CPF project plan and the CPF management and stewardship plan to include the property.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I just want to say something on this one piece of property. Someone did come up to me and say, why are we taking it off the tax roll? Why are we buying another piece of front water property? And I said to him, it's in a neighborhood where a lot of houses do not front the water. It gives people opportunity to go to the water, to either look at it, put a small boat in it, go fishing, or just to see it. And they're not making any more waterfront. A lot of it's being bought up, and people have no access to it.
Yeah.
So whenever you get access to water for people in the town of Southampton, it's very important. Doesn't matter if it's the shore, the bay, or creek.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
Town Board Resolution 2025-1502, to recall and amend Resolution 2025-1293 for Christian Leno, Suffolk County Tax Map Number as indicated, situated in Hampton Bays, is accepted.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2025-1503, a road review application for Comacutico 1 LLC, Suffolk County Tax Map Number as indicated, situated at North Sea, is accepted.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Town Board Resolution 2025-1504, a road review application for Mark and Kristen Dracos, Suffolk County Tax Map Number as indicated, situated at Tuckahoe, is accepted.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Town Board Resolution 2025-1505, road review application for Sean Egan, Suffolk County Tax Map Number as indicated, situated Hampton Bays, is accepted.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And then we have our walk-ons.
Town Board Resolution ID 51744. This is to recall and amend Town Board Resolution 2025-1387 for emergency school meal assistance. As you all know, there was some language that needed to be added in from a previous session that was not, so this is making sure that that language was adjusted.
I'm gonna suggest that we amend this. I
Wait,
hate to say it,
why?
because it says will remain available for the remainder of 2025. We have a few weeks left. I would like it to say which should be until expended.
Until expended. I agree. So,
well-
instead of for the remainder,
I don't think the money carries over to 2026.
Oh, that's a good point.
That's why Kara was gonna
Yes,
try
use it
to.
or lose it, so.
We got a couple weeks to spend it
yeah,
out.
which I will say, Karabakh did send out an email to all the schools,
Okay.
letting
Say,
them
hey,
know
come on.
that they have the opportunity to, but, it's, once that opportunity comes, it comes. We could always adjust, just so everybody knows, we could always try to adjust when next year comes, and if we want to allocate some money, if we can, if schools are demanding it.
So I'll second it, and can I co-sponsor it, please?
You can add me too.
Yeah,
please.
let's all,
Yeah, me too.
Whole board.
That's so, we're not amending it, right? We're just,
Just do it as it is.
So we have,
I'm sorry, I'm just having trouble hearing.
We can't amend it. It has to stay the way it is.
Okay.
We second it.
So we're all on it.
Everybody wants to
All
be
in
on it.
favor?
Aye.
Aye. And we did that. right?
we did this one. Thank you.
Right. And Town Board Resolution ID number 51746 to appoint Scott Horowitz to the Suffolk County Working Waterfront Advisory Committee.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I think that's a great appointment, and he's
Yes.
happy to be doing it.
I spoke to him just before we went to this meeting and told him that it was gonna be done. He was very excited and he can't wait to get to work. And I know that he'll do a good job. He said he'd be calling me for advice. I said, okay, anytime.
Okay. All right, and the last walk-on resolution is Town Board Resolution ID number 51758, which is the warrant number 23, capital number 23, and CPF number 23 dated December 9th, 2025.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Well, good meeting, everyone. That was a long one. Thank you. And if no one has anything else, I move to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks, everyone.